Life is a series of unscripted experiences that forge us into unique individuals. These are the experiences and stories of those who possess the will, beliefs, and fortitude required to overcome obstacles, pursue their passions, and achieve success. Welcome to the HawkCast with your host, AJ Hawk.
Here he is, folks. We've all been waiting for him. The great Bert Kreischer joins us tonight. And Bert, I have to admit something to you. So I call this the HawkCast, and I don't really mention the name very much because you just feel like a douche when you say something, like when you name something, I feel like.
Yeah,
and I basically ripped it off of the Bertcast, the great podcast that you host.
Shut up.
Yeah, because.
Shut up.
So when I was about to start this thing, I'm like, all right, well, I got to have a name, I guess. And we went back and forth like my brother. I was kind of bouncing ideas off of him, and I'm like, why don't I just call it the HawkCast? And it's all because I saw the Bertcast and I listened to the Bertcast. So it's all you, man.
No way. Let me tell you something. I saw. Did you do a HawkCast in Tough Knocks, in Hard Knocks?
No, so you said something about that in the email. I think you might have seen it. They played some clips. I did like a sit down interview with the one guy who left NBC. I forget his name, Josh something. They showed, like we talked about, like the podcast, and he showed a couple clips from it. You might have seen it there, but I've never been on Hard Knocks.
I thought I saw it. I saw it somewhere, and the second I saw it, I lost my shit, and I was like, "That's what I'm fucking talking about. Like, that's what this is about." Like I got so excited that you had a podcast because I was like, "There's not enough people that are. There's so many comics doing them. There's not enough different people doing them, talking about different things."
Well, hey, I appreciate it, man. That's what I said when I was listening to all of your guys' podcasts. So I've said it a million times on here where I think Joe Rogan got a lot of us into podcasting. So I listened to his, became a huge fan. And when you listen to Joe's, you branch off into everybody. You, Ari, Segura, all these great comics. Tony Hinchcliffe's been on here. And you've had some epic episodes, I guess you'd say, on Joe's podcast multiple times. How many times have you been on there?
I have no idea. Yeah. I by the way, I've been on there, woken up the next day and been like, I spoke last night.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, yeah. Because
you hold it together pretty well, though. I mean, you guys seem sometimes like you're having a good time, but you seem
we're having a blast. But I bring out, so I'll say, I never speak for anybody, but I bring out something in Joe that he doesn't often bring out, which is just a straight up silliness. And like, he's not a big drinker in the sense that he doesn't like getting hammered in the middle of the day. But every time I'm there, he's like, "Oh, I'll take a whiskey." And then and the last 3 times I've there, I've been on a cleanse. So it's my first time drinking back from like not drinking 3 weeks in a row. So every time I'm there, I am literally walking out buzzed. And we play a game of pool, and I always at one point have this panic that like, what if I beat him?
If you beat him, you just have to stay there until he beats you. Yeah, you'll be there all night.
What is fascinating to me? By the way, I love Tom and Christina, but like, I'm amazed at how big their podcast is. Their podcast is huge, and it's just the two of them. Like,
and the stuff they talk about.
I've been to dinner with them. They're not that interesting.
Well, your vlog, I follow your vlog, and you have like over 20 of them, I think you've posted now. Yeah. And one of your episodes, one of my favorite, was you filmed a bunch of your guys' dinner you had right before she had her baby.
You should have seen it when I pulled out a camera. It was like I pulled out my dick and was like, "Hey guys, you guys want to switch it up?" Like Tom was like, "What is that?" I go, "It's a camera. I do a vlog." He's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I call her Push. We've always called her Push, me and my wife. Push was like, "How old?" Like, they were offended. And then I put it together, and then Tom called me the very next day. He's like, "All right, you got to tell me about this vlog." Because it's like, if you put good music with it, it's good. His vlog's better than my vlog. He's taken his vlog is amazing.
Well, they seem pretty similar, and they always seem to, you guys each usually end it or at some point take a jab at the other guy.
Yeah. I find it ridiculous that he genuinely says he's skinnier than I am. Like, you've seen him. Have you seen him in person? Have you ever touched him?
I have not. See, that's why, like, people like us, we don't know you Hollywood types. We have no idea. You might be
Hollywood types.
You might be 6'4", you might be 5'3", like Tom Cruise. We don't know.
No, Tom and I are the same height, but he is massive. Like, he's got like that like cop body, you know, like just and his underarm hairs connect to his breast. So it's this one. It looks like a fixer upper that you've bought, and they've carpeted the bathroom. Like, it just looks odd.
So is that something you guys go? Is that part of the reason why you have like weigh-ins on your vlog and you seem to really document your different cleanses and smoothies you drink in the mornings? It seems like you're always either on a cleanse or you're in the middle of different. I don't want to call it dieting, whatever you may be. It seems like you're always. Is he one of your big motivators?
No, I've already beat him. I've destroyed him. My problem is I'm a man of extremes. So like it is either all or nothing. So like when I'm home, like today I'm home, it's all juice, lean protein, greens, and coffee, and tons of water. And then tomorrow morning, my car will pick me up at 4, and I'll have a vodka soda on the ride to the airport at 4 in the morning. And I'll drink at the airport. I'll bring little bottles of Jack Daniels. I'll drink in the airport. I'll drink on my flight to Dallas, my flight to Omaha, and then I'll drive up to Sioux City to a casino or to the Hard Rock, and I'll party all night long.
And then will you get on a plane and fly home Thursday or whatever?
Same thing. No, I fly home. I fly home. I then go to Omaha for the weekend, and then to Vancouver Sunday night for a show at the Rio, and then I'm home Monday, and then Monday I'm home. I'll be like back on this cleanse.
So you have a spot at the Comedy Store tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm doing. We do this. Ari Shaffir does a storytelling show, and it's a blast. Like anytime he does, they're so much fun because the expectation's low, so no one, because it's a story, and so you get to kind of mess with it. Like the last time I went, I talked about the time I was in a band and I kicked out the guitarist and he formed Creed.
Is that Scott Stapp?
No, it's Mark Tremonti.
Okay, Scott Stapp was the lead singer of Creed, right?
Yeah,
and he went on like a crazy manic binge too, when like was well documented.
Oh yeah, this guy. By the way, I'm gonna say like becoming famous. That's wrong when I say that, but like I was doing like famous guy stuff at the time that Creed started their initial decline. So like I was doing like talk. There was this time in entertainment where they had like up late night on FX, and then you'd mock play poker. You wouldn't play poker. You're basically doing wraparounds for something. So like you'd sit there with like some celebrities, Steve Shrippa, and then like a model, and you'd pretend to be playing poker and pretend to be drinking, and they'd do a little bit of an interview, but they weren't really interviewing you. I don't know what it was, but that was like, it was a big genre of television in like 2000, probably 2002, 2004.
Were you hosting this?
No, I was just famous enough that I'd been on TV that I could go in and be a guest.
Okay. And
Scott Stapp was on his decline, and all I got was massive stories of like there's this great video of apparently Scott Stapp reached out to some girl reached out to him on MySpace, and then Scott Stapp replied back, and she's like, "Awesome, meet me at the Waffle House."
No.
And so I swear to God. And by the way, I have to say, I'm being dead serious when I say this. I've been listening to a lot of Creed lately. Creed's actually a pretty awesome fucking band. Like, if you were on an island and you found that CD, you're like, this is going to inspire me to build a boat. But there's a video of Scott Stapp in sweatpants, soaking wet hair, and a wife beater, and he's in a Waffle House, and he's just going from table to table trying to find whoever the single girl was, and it's like a girl and 3 guys, and they're all videotaping it.
And that's out there, like that's legit video out there.
That's legit out there. I mean, I don't know how I would have seen it otherwise, but yeah, or I mean, maybe I dreamed it, but yeah, it is legit out there. But yeah, so in Ari's storytelling room, I told that story. I talked about I remember meeting, and by the way, my recollection of things is always skewed to like the dramatic, but like I remember running into them on at Publix. There's like the Florida grocery store. Mm-hmm. At a Publix, I literally bumped into the whole band in band pose. Like they were like posed up, and I saw Tremonti. I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he's like, we're moving to Orlando. Sister Hazel's manager signed us." And I was like, "Cool." I was like, "I'm moving to New York." He's like, "Oh yeah, congrats on that red Rolling Stone thing." And I was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, I literally walked through. I was like, "I'll never fucking see them again." And then cut to Will Smith. I'm sitting in Will Smith's lobby of his office. And he was like, "What was the name of that band you said you were in?" I was like, "Oh, Giving Out Spankins." He goes, "No, what was the name of the band they said that they became?" I said, "Creed." And he goes, "Are you shitting me?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "They're the #1 Billboard artist this year." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up."
So why'd you get booted?
I booted him.
Oh, you booted who? Scott?
I booted Mark Tremonti. Mark Tremonti was he was in my fraternity. So, and he was a transfer. So
at Florida State, right?
At Florida State, I think he went to like Auburn or FIU or something.
Okay.
And he came to Florida State. And he was a cool enough guy. Everyone liked him. But I think Florida fraternities were very cliquish. I think it was hard for him to kind of fold into the mix. But he played guitar, and we had this band called Giving Out Spankins. And my guitarist was like, "We should come jam." He was like, "Okay." So we brought over his stack, and they played a song. Like they were jamming it. He was a very talented guitarist, obviously. And so I came into band practice one day, and they were like, "Hey, they're playing this fucking U2 song. I'd never heard it before, but they're playing it, and it sounds amazing. Like if you'd never heard it, you wouldn't recognize where the lyrics should be." And I was just like, "This is good." And they're like, "Yeah, you think?" I was like, "No, like really good." And they're like, "Maybe you should try writing lyrics to it." And I was like, "Oh, done." So I go out and I like listen and I write down like the cheesiest lyrics, like about date rape, but if it happened to a guy and the girl was overweight, like I mean, this is horrible lyrics. And the chorus was, "A little sister, oh, whoa, won't you get out the door?" I mean, it was horrible. And I played it for everybody. I recorded it, and I'd play it for everyone, and everyone would laugh hysterically. And I thought, they were like, they thought I was fucking with them. And so as soon as that happened, I was like, he's got to get out of the band. He was too good. Literally, I was like, he's going to realize I suck and kick me out of my own band.
Oh, man. Did you continue with with your musical
we
dreams?
Were dead. The second he was gone, we lost momentum, and we were like, you know what? We all suck. Band's over. And then we saw Creed play one of the first times they ever played ever. We saw them play.
Was that a big place?
It was, no. It was at a muffin place, a place that made muffins. It's called the Mill.
Oh, jeez.
And they just pulled out like one table in the center. I mean, it was like literally like you ever been to a Cracker Barrel?
Oh yeah.
It's like a Cracker Barrel. It was a Cracker Barrel technically, but they really specialized in muffins, really big muffins, and so they just pulled out like a table in the center, and that was it. And then they set up Creed. I mean, we saw Creed live at the Mill, and they were singing like "My Own Prison" or whatever. There comes, and we all were like sitting with a pint of beer, like just staring at them, going like, "Yeah, our band's done. Like this is really good." Who the hell keeps emailing me? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Is that on your computer or your phone?
It's my computer. I'm just shutting everything down.
You got everything connected, huh?
I got everything, man.
Well, you're a tech like wizard, man. I watched some of your. I listened to your podcast, the Bertcast, which you had. Adam Carolla. That was awesome. You recently had him. So you went to his studio and interviewed him, right?
Yeah. And I was like, you know how like I don't know if this happens in sports, but do you ever have inner dialogue about people that dislike you and then find out they never even knew you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think everyone connected with you on that with him.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't know. I wouldn't say like sports. I would just say in general, just
in life,
humans in life. I've had that where you're like, man, what's going on with this dude? Why is he eyeballing me like this? And me and Segura actually talked about this, and we're like, the guy has no idea. He doesn't care. He's going about his own life. He has his own issues. Like he's definitely not worrying about you.
Yeah, and that was my thing with him for my entire career. I thought him and Jimmy hated me. And I literally, I can be honest now that I've talked to Adam, I thought they were doing things to undermine my career. Like I was like, well, the reason I haven't gotten on Comedy Central right now is because of the Man Show. Like I would sit and have full blown conversations. And so then and he asked me to be on his podcast like twice. And I turned it down every time because I was like, I'm going to get blindsided. They're going to bring me on and blindside me. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm going to get caught off guard. I mean, this is how crazy I was about it. And then honestly, I want to say he reached out to do my podcast, or I don't know how it happened, but like I got an email from their people going, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast with Adam?" And I was like, "Okay." And then they were like, "Come here." And I was like, "Okay." And he was the sweetest guy in the world. He's like, "Bert, I've never thought of you in my entire life." And I was like, "Holy crap." I was like, "How much energy have I wasted?" Like and it was, the one thing that I sat in the car with my wife before I went and do the interview, and I'm sure I know you've done this, where you go like say like Josh Dumel,
yeah.
Josh Dumel. Like, I don't know if you, but like, he's someone that I'd love to talk to, but I'd be nervous to interview because I don't know what to say to him. You know?
Yeah, I had him on here a couple.
I know, I watched, and it was a great interview. And I was like, oh, that would make me nervous. I actually might turn down the interview because I don't know what to say to that person.
I know what you're saying. Oh, that's why I started the podcast. First off, man, like maybe I don't know if I'm almost 2 years now I've been going, but it's like anything. It's hard to record. It's hard to like put up enough episodes. And with your crazy life, I don't know how you do this. You seem to really binge record when you are in town.
Oh, dude, I got 6 in the can right now.
Oh, so it's got to be a great feeling.
It is, but you know what I started doing, which I really messed up, is I get so excited when I get a really good one, I release it right away. Like I just go, oh, I'm putting this one up now. But
I was going to say that about you. Honest, I was like a couple minutes into this, and you were talking about like your upcoming dates and everything, and I have a couple to put up. I have one I'm putting up today, and I was like, I might just text my buddy Todd, who's the one who like does the website. Like Todd, we'll just put Bert up next, put him next in line.
I'm the same way.
I was already thinking that.
But when I did Corolla, I'm sitting in the car with my wife. My wife's a pretty like regular person, and she goes, I don't know. I go, maybe I'll just cancel it because I don't know. What am I going to say to him?
In the car, like in the parking lot?
No, that morning. The podcast is like noon. Oh, yeah. We just dropped the girls off. I'm in the driveway with my wife. I go, maybe I'll just cancel it. I was like, I'm going to be a bad interviewer. Like, I'm not good at listening. Like, and I was like, I'll just cancel it. He doesn't give a fuck. I bet it would lighten his day up. And my wife's like, why? I go, what am I going to ask him? Like, what? Like, I'm going to be like an idiot. She goes, what do you want to ask him? I go, I want to ask him how much money he has. She's like, why can't you ask him that? And I go, I don't know. She goes, Bert, you're not doing a Barbara Walters interview. You're doing a podcast. Like, and then I was like, I really, really wanted to know how much money he was making on Loveline. Like, I really wanted to know that. And so I literally halfway in the interview, he's like, I was like, why did you quit Loveline? And he was like, well, the money, favored nations, and I was making $950,000 a year, and I just was like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, and I started like doing the math of that, like going, okay, $950,000. He was single at the time. He I literally was like, and he did it for 15 years. So 15 years, I was like, this guy's, and I'm like, and then he said something. I go, I don't know, I'm still stuck on the $950,000.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. I remember that.
But like the other thing I said to my wife, I wanted to know because like. I don't know if, like, I always think this about you guys, too. Honestly, I really do. And I'll ask you in a second the same thing I wanted to ask him. But, like, I wanted to know if when he got fired from his morning show, if he was scared. Because, like, I've been out of work. Like, I've been, had shows canceled. And it's really scary when you go, what do I do next? And, like, whenever I watch, like, I look at, like I'll use Tony Romo as an example. Like, do you think he goes into training camp and he's like, yeah, I got this locked? Or do you think he gets scared?
I mean, a guy like him, I would doubt he gets scared, but I think everybody has like a healthy, there's a term for it. My brother would know it. My brother has a podcast that's like a business entrepreneur, and he's a hustler, man. He has some huge business and different people. He's really good and like professional. I talk about it a lot. He's like, boom, boom, boom. It's funny how, I guess, different our podcasts are, but it's called pronoia? Maybe that's what he called. I don't know. I'm sure.
Whoa, it's almost like paranoia, but you're in front of the annoia.
Yeah, like it's like a healthy thing where even though Tony Romo knows he's the starter going into training camp and he's getting paid a bunch of money, they're not going to cut him this year. But in his head, he's got to be at somewhere. He's got to be thinking like, well, there's this couple young guys behind me that they're trying to groom, that they want my gig, and it doesn't like. I think the healthiest way is for not to be like an anxiety type thing that would hurt your play, but maybe elevate it to just if you ever do have a moment of like a lapse of motivation or something, to use that. Maybe that like pronoia might be completely wrong. I don't know.
But I like that word, even if it's not right. I like that word.
It's like a healthy thing to know. You don't want to get Wally pipped, and you don't want to sit out one day and have a guy come in behind you and go 4 for 4 and take your gig.
That's like so when you go into training camp, I mean, I guess you have to say one thing, but like, can you drink beers and stuff during the week?
I honestly did not see the end of your question coming. I can say right now, that was awesome.
That's all I think about whenever I see like training camp. I go, how do they go to sleep at night? Like, do they just lay in their bunk bed next to Warren Sapp and go, good night, Warren, good night?
The funniest thing is yes, that's what happens. You stay in old dorms, in an old scrub dorm, especially in Green Bay, you stay in the old dorm that like they stayed in back when Vince Lombardi was there, and you have a single bed, and you have a roommate in a small little dorm with no TV, nothing in it. I would bring a TV. And you have a roommate in a little single bed, and yeah, you say, all right, bud, all right, you want to turn the lights out? Yeah. See ya.
Shut up.
Yeah, man.
So do you I guess there is no just getting like toasty and then going to bed.
I mean, back in the day, for sure, like you hear the stories about the old school guys. I always say like the tough guys, the guys that could do it. That they would live hard and they would play hard. They could wake up and do it. Now it's like it's so crazy and the days are so long, especially in training camp. Guys can't. You don't see it happen very often. If you have maybe a half day the next day or an off day coming, then like guys maybe can go out for a little bit. But we have curfew, man, like 11 or 12 at the latest during camp.
That's so crazy. Now, are you guys aware of how much money everyone makes?
A lot of guys are, because it's all like public pretty much. So a lot of guys are aware of it. Mainly the guys that are looking to like haven't had like the one big contract yet, or they weren't a high pick or whatever. They're really aware of what guys are making around them because they want to like know, well, when it's my time to sign a new contract, this is what I'm looking at getting or whatever. So I've never really been aware of anyone's contract. I don't know. I just never had the like. I don't think it helps me to look at. I never really cared, I guess I should say, of what guys are making.
I see me and Tom and Ari have always been very open with what we make on the road to help each other for when we go into places to know what they paid Ari, what they paid Tom, and then what they paid me, and like what our numbers were like. And we've been very healthy about it, except for I had to stop doing it with Tom because his numbers got so ridiculous. I was like, I don't want to know how much you're making. It makes me not want to work.
So like I do. That's something I wanted to ask you. Like, what is like? Let's say you work a weekend at a comedy club, and you do shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, no Sunday shows. So you're doing 2 shows a night, so 6 shows total. Like, what could a weekend be for you?
Money wise?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, usually you get a guarantee. Like there's some guys who have a guarantee. Like say the guy's maybe not drawing so much, or maybe he was like famous. Like I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of an example off the top of my head. He'll have a guarantee of like say $3,000. Okay. And then so he's guaranteed $3,000
for the whole weekend, for like all 6 shows.
Whole weekend.
Okay.
For 6 shows. Then they'll pay his flight out, like $500 for his flight out. They'll put him up in a hotel, probably a pretty nice one. But then if he makes that $3,000, he also has a guarantee versus the door. So like some guys, like 60% versus the door is like probably a pretty standard. So like if you sell out all shows, then which if your guarantee is $3,000, you're probably not selling out all shows. But say you bring in 1,000 tickets throughout the weekend at $20 a ticket, you're bringing in $20,000. So he's getting 60% of $20,000.
Oh, okay. So that's what it means versus the door.
Yeah. So my guarantee is a little higher. My guarantee is like I'd say my guarantee is under $10,000. I'll just say that.
9,500. Okay. 9,800.
And my percentage is a little higher. So
it's okay. 82%.
85.
85. Yeah, that's what I thought. And then, but you need to cut to the booze though. That's your thing. That's why they bring the party animal in. That's
the next level. Well, that's the reason they're willing to give me such a high percentage because I mean, people drink. You have no idea. When you come to my shows, like I do this call in sick to work show where I go into clubs, I do radio, I drink on radio, and then I go right to the club. I'm doing one St. Patty's Day in Columbus, Ohio.
I live in Columbus. That's what that's a call in sick. What radio show are you doing?
Dave and Jimmy, I think.
What's this? I don't know what the numbers of that, like 97.9 or maybe 97.9. I don't know.
You live in Columbus?
Yeah, man.
Dude, come to sick.
So May 17th, right?
March. St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's my anniversary. March, is that a Saturday, Friday?
No,
do you know?
It's St. Patty's Day. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. It's like Thursday. I think it's like a Thursday or
it might be
Thursday.
A Thursday. Wow. So okay. Run me through that day then. From when you get to town to when you do your show.
I fly in the 16th, the evening of the 16th. Okay. 16th. I'm doing a corporate event for Travel Channel the day before.
The 16th in Columbus.
In Atlanta, I'm doing something for Travel Channel.
Okay, so I just want to run it just quickly before that. You're going to wake up early and do early morning radio. Am I right?
Yeah. So I'll get up at like 6 a.m.
Okay, so knowing from listening, I don't know you at all. I'm not judging you at all. How do you? I'm sure you're excited about these calling sick to work shows. I've heard you talk about it. I know they sell out and people love it and get blasted at 10 a.m. But How do you dial it back the night of the 16th on your flight and when you land in Columbus?
Whoa.
Or you just keep it going?
That's so funny. I didn't expect the end of that question. How do you dial it back at the end? That's not the time I have to worry about. I don't dial it back at all on the 16th.
So you could keep it going though. Do you get a couple hours sleep before you wake up, or do you just go straight through?
Get it, pound and ground.
Get
up.
See, you're an absolute savage, man. How old are you?
45, 43.
34. Okay.
43. So I'll fly in. I'll have, like I did DC. I did DC the other day. It's sold out. And I go in, I fly in the night before, and I have cocktails, a lot of cocktails on the flight. And then I just go to my hotel room.
Can you just tell us a little bit about your, how you make them think you're not drinking as much as you're drinking on the plane?
Well, I have a number of ways.
Well, the one way of how you bring, I know if you have your spouse or whatever, you can order her doubles, right? And then just drink out of hers.
That's now called the Ric Flair style of drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Because I saw Ric Flair doing it. I go, that's my move. That's
awesome.
I just upgrade my director, this girl, Stacy, and I go, sit next to me. She's like, she was pregnant at the time. And I was like, I'll be ordering drinks for you. And she's like, what if they think that I was like, don't worry, you're allowed to have one when you're pregnant. So, normally I'll order for my wife, and I'll just be like, she'll have a double soda and vodka. And then I'll go, and you know what? That sounds good. I'll have one of those too. And then my other move is you don't speak. When you order drinks on a plane, you do not speak. I got into trouble. I got cut off one time on a flight, and there's a doctor sitting next to me. He goes, you're speaking entirely too much. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, because he's like, you're almost talking them out of giving you another cocktail. You're like, I'm listening to music. And so you don't speak. It's just when you see them, one of these, and then that's it. That's it. And then on long flights, I bring baby Jack Daniels with me, and I keep them in my bag. And so, because like when you fly, say you fly to Africa, like you fly to Cape Town.
Happens all the time. Yeah, do it every week.
By the way, there was a period where I did it like twice in like 6 months.
Yeah,
so I bring baby Jack Daniels. I'll bring 4 of them, or maybe I'll bring more. By the way, I have so many theories on this, but like I bring 4 of them, or maybe I'll bring 8, or I'll give my camera guy 4, or I'll give one of my PAs 4, and then and that's just so that you can have a few drinks, and then if you want another drink, you don't have to go to them and bother them or wake them up in the middle of the flight. Because if you wake them up in the middle of the flight, they're going to go, this guy's still drinking. So then you pour a little cocktail for yourself. No one knows about it. No harm, no foul. Mm-hmm. And then when she comes by, you're like, maybe I'll take another one.
Then you just give her the hand gesture. Here you go.
Yeah, right here. And then the other. This is like when you want to talk to dudes who really fly, You go to the what's the thing? The duty free shop.
Yeah.
And you just get yourself a bottle.
And just carry it on?
Crack it on. Just fill up your water bottle. Like I got one of those swells. Fill it up with whiskey. I've got a number of ways to get around it. Only because here's my thing. And it's not, by the way, I don't even drink the entire time I fly. My whole thing is if I don't have accessibility to the alcohol, I start to have a panic attack. Like if there's turbulence, I want to be able to have a drink. And so if we get into turbulence and I've been cut off because I had 4 drinks. That's what you're allowed to have on a plane is 4 drinks, which for a 33-hour flight to South Africa just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. 4 drinks doesn't make sense. And so if I get cut off, I want to be able to have a drink so I know that I can relax, you know?
Do you think it's probably not even the drink. It seems like just the option of it being there. It's like a safety blanket.
I had one time where I had bad turbulence, but I had a meeting and I couldn't drink for it. And I just said, give me a Heineken. Don't open it. Just give me the Heineken. I'll give it back to you. And I literally sat with a Heineken in my hand. And I was like, I knew I could pull that pin. I knew that I could crack it and murder it and feel relaxed. But I was like, so it's right there. And I was like, turbulence is going to end. Let's just get through this turbulence. I mean, it sounds like an AA program to quitting drinking. But like I was literally like, just let me get to out of this turbulence and I'll be fine. And we landed in LAX, and I had the full beer, and I thought, I'm bringing this home with me. So I brought it home.
Now, I forget where I was at actually a second ago, but I want to ask you about that vodka soda on the 4 a.m. car ride to the airport.
Yeah.
Do you have to like psych yourself up for that? Like, how does that happen? That doesn't sound very easy to do at 4 a.m.
No, here's the.
With an Uber, for the record, I'm sure it's like an Uber or car.
100%. Yeah, it's 100%. It's an Uber. But like. For me, it's more about What the reason I bring it, and I don't even drink it every time. But the reason I bring it is that I've been stuck in bumper to bumper traffic where you literally pull up to the airport at the last minute and just get in the plane and you don't have time for a cocktail, and that is horrific for me. For me, I am now white knuckled, like literally think I'm going to die. My blood pressure's through the roof. I'm like, ah! And so if I have that drink, if we hit traffic, I don't stress out about traffic. I literally sit on the 405 and go, in my head, I go, I'm at the bar. I'm at the bar. I'm having a cocktail. And when I pull up, I'm ready to get on the plane. It's, it's a lot of it for me is just getting on the plane and getting, like, once I get into after takeoff, I'm fine.
Okay, so, but I mean, the craziest thing about all of it is that you fly every single week, multiple times a week.
I fly every single week. I have 6 a.m. flights nonstop. I fly around the world, and I've gotten really good. Like when I flew to New Zealand, like I drank for takeoff, and then I didn't drink the rest of the flight, and that's a 13-hour flight. So like I'm totally fine with it. But the problem is, like I've been in, when you fly as much as I fly, and you probably do fly as much as I fly.
No, not like you. I mean, we fly like during the season, like once a week or once every 8 times a year for the game. But I don't fly that often, man.
Yeah,
luckily.
Well, but like I've been in some pretty bad turbulence, like where it's like where you're like, oh, I'm dying. This is how I die. No questions asked. This is how I die. and like grabbing the leg of the lady next to me, like holding onto her thigh, like literally squeezing it, just being like, I'm sorry, I can't stop this right now. But it's, and I don't, I've done everything. I've been a stunt pilot. I've been in, I've jumped out of planes. I've done everything that would curb the fear of flying. But for some reason, I have this terrible fear that it'll be the day that I go, you know what? I'm cool with this flying. I'm just flying into Burbank and I'm going to a meeting. And then that'll be the day I die just randomly out of nowhere.
Wow. Yeah, I can see what you're coming from. I mean, it's exhausting listening to your program. You got just to get on the plane though.
Oh, dude.
What about like drugs? Because I always see these people. So we went to London this past, like I've been to London a couple times the last 2 or 3 years. We took my daughter over there for St. Patty's Day last year, and I got on the plane. I'm looking up, like as I'm looking, I see like all the people in the awesome lay down first class seats. I'm like, oh God, that's a different world up there. And we go back, and I sat in the window seat for 9 straight hours and didn't move with my daughter in the middle seat. But I see them all, like every one of them, like at the same time, open like their little Ziploc bags, and they all taking multiple pills the whole time, right during takeoff, and then they're gone the whole flight. It seems like. But that's not you.
No, here's the problem with pills. And there was a period where I traded out pills for booze on planes. Kevin Euclid just texted me.
Kevin Euclid, what are you doing with him?
It was just an odd. That was like two all-stars. Just all of a sudden, I was like, "Yeah, man, I made it." It's
like that's your life. That's how random your life is.
There was a period where I was taking Xanax a lot, but the problem is you fly that much, and you're taking Xanax like every other day, and those benzos are addictive, and once you start taking them, then they don't work. You need to take more, and for me, it's just a lot. It's a lot more dangerous in my line of work to get into pills than to have like a double vodka soda on the way to the airport, get on the plane, pass out, have a beer in Dallas, get on the plane, pass out, drive to you know what I mean? Pills catch up to you. I had a good friend who I know had a sincere problem with pills, and you just couldn't say anything to him.
Wow, pills are the scariest thing ever, I think, and it's amazing because people don't think they're addicted, and it's what I need, it's what I'm doing, and then. Yeah, right. You're addicted quick. I mean, everyone's seen it. Everyone has friends that get addicted to painkillers. I think that's the gateway that gets them in, and they're doing whatever they can to find drugs. And now kids are doing heroin because what was it? Oxycontins they were taking. Yeah. Now they're too expensive, and boom, heroin's cheap. It's scary, man. Like high school kids doing heroin now.
Yeah, I do. I fell off a waterfall and onto my back. I thought I broke my back. Crawled out of a ravine, 210 feet on my hands and knees. For shooting a show on Travel Channel.
Trip flip, right?
Yeah, trip flip. And I fell like 15 feet on my back, and they like put me on a body board or whatever to get me out of there, and took me to the hospital, gave me heroin, and the pain went away. It was amazing. The pain just went away, and I was like, wow, that's insane. Like, and then they gave me a bunch of pills, and I had to work because like my wife would tell me, like we had 2 big money weekends coming back to back. She's like, these were big paydays. One was for a corporate in Aspen, and the other one was just happened to be a big weekend in Seattle. And so she's like, you got to work. So I'm eating pills, not drinking, but eating pills like crazy. And then I come back for spring break and it's like, oh my God, like I'm not going to say I'm addicted, but I was addicted. Like there was no option of me getting off pills. Like when I ran out, I called the doctor. I was like, I need more. And they're like, that is not how this works. And I was like, oh my God, like, but I can't imagine. And I also have a propensity, obviously, to extreme behavior. So if you give me a 60 bucket of Xanax, I'm going to tear through them like we're at the movies.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I think a lot of people are like that I think most people have extremes like that, but some people have it they don't have it towards drugs or alcohol, and it's just towards anything else. But I remember what I wanted to get you. I started to ask you about your calling sick to work deal.
Oh, yeah.
So you go into the radio show at like, let's say 6:30 a.m. Take it from there.
To 6:30 a.m. And, it's I got to be honest with you. And this is going to sound either way. You can look at the glass half full or the glass half empty. I was talking to Colt Cabana the other day. You know Colt?
Yeah, he has a big podcast.
Yeah, and he goes, there's two trains. You either get on the happy train or the sad train. And so like for me, it is a pretty cool feeling when you go into radio and you're there for one of the funnest days of these guys' month. Like literally, they get to drink. You're drinking. No, early morning drinking's fun. So literally, I walk in, they're like Bert, and crack a beer, and you're like, yeah. And I'm always cognizant that stand up comes first, but I can have a couple beers in the morning, write that boat from the hangover the night before, have fun on radio. You get a little looser. You start talking a little freer. Things get crazy. My shirt comes off, and then shirt stays off for the show. Show up at the club at like 11, and this is what I was going to tell you. Like, what's insane is that these turn into massive events where people show up. Like in Tampa, they showed up to the club at like 9 a.m. to listen to the radio at the club, and they played the radio station at the club, and people drank. And when I got there, they were in a panic because all my fans had drank them out of beer. Like all beer was gone, and all they're like, we only have mixed drinks, and we don't even have enough of that. And so like Philly, like everyone, like Pittsburgh, they had to call their beer sponsor and meet them. Like, because it's like that one morning where everyone gets to literally call in sick to work and go, it's St. Patty's Day. I love that feeling of St. Patty's Day. There's no better feeling of waking up and your roommate's like, dude, let's go. Everyone's drinking over at Yanni's. And you're like, shut up. And then, and all responsibilities are gone. I remember one of my favorite St. Patty's Day, my buddy Hutch pulled up on a scooter and he was like, get on the back. I got mushrooms. We're going to Po' Boys. I ate mushrooms and drove around Tallahassee sitting backwards on a scooter, right? We're back to back. Like we're in Vietnam and I'm bringing a pig to somebody. And I miss those days. And I think that's what I'm trying to recreate with these calling sick to work shows is just that like fun morning day drinking of like, you know what? No rules today. And especially when your wife's like, let's do this. And you're like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. So they've been great. I'm waiting for the one. I have a feeling like Columbus is, I think it's 450 seats. So I'd be really genuinely shocked if that sold out. But they've all sold out so far.
Is that the Funny Bone?
Yeah, Funny Bone. It's a new Funny Bone.
I haven't been out there. Is that at Easton? Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, it's at Easton.
Oh, at Easton. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does that show go? Like, so you go, then you show up and you do an hour of stand up, right?
I do an hour of stand up. I'd like to change it. To be honest with you, I'd like to turn it. I always feel like it's one thing to just go see me do stand up. You can do see that at night. I'd like to find a different avenue of making it. I was oddly enough talking to Corolla about this. That's the other crazy thing about Corolla. Like I don't. I'll tell you. But like we get done the podcast and he's like, I'll walk you to your car. I go, oh, I Ubered because I didn't know if they're going to bring Mangria and I don't drink and drive. So yeah. if they're going to open up Mangria, I'll easily have a couple Mangrias. Yeah. But we didn't. And so I Ubered and he was like, oh, then let me just drive you home. And I was like, oh, are you sure? He's like, yeah. So he's like, so we get in the car and we just start talking about the road and about how he can do his podcast in theaters and he's not burning material. He's just doing a live podcast. And he sells like 1,200 seat theaters. Jeez. And so then what's even this is even crazier. And I feel weird telling this, but I don't think he'd be bothered by it. But like he goes, where do you go? I go, get off here, take a ride on Huston. And he goes, I grew up on Huston. I go, shut up. He's like, yeah, I grew up on Huston. Where do you live on Huston? And I told him, and he goes, I grew up 2 blocks from you. I was like, are you serious? He's like, you mind if we go by my childhood home? And I was like, by the way, I'm like, this is a surreal moment. I'm like, okay. like he drives around and he starts like rattling off all the kids that lived in different houses. This is where the Stepanowitzes lived. This is where the Jenskys lived. And brings me by his childhood house, and he goes, and what's even crazier is that house went on the market, and it was obviously going to be a teardown. But I remember that house. I remember that house before they started building the McMansion. And he told me where his room was, and I was like, and we had looked at it because everyone wanted to buy this great property, and his mom sold it like 6 months ago. And I was like, shut up. So I don't know how. Oh, but the point is, I was talking to Kroll about it, and it would be cool if I could do like a live podcast format, like for the Call in Sick to Work shows, make it a different animal than just stand up. But as of now, it is literally just untethered stand up. It is. I've been drinking, no rules apply. Usually, whoever's in town for that weekend shows up. Like we had Brent Morin from Undateable was at the one in DC, and usually everyone's drinking, so everyone comes on stage at some point, and it's a really fun show.
So do you do your normal, like you do your normal bits at that show?
No, usually I continue the conversation I just had on radio. So like a lot of times I'll be like apparently I don't really remember saying this, but I talked about getting the clap in college on radio. Which is not a bit. It's actually a secret. It's something I don't tell anybody. And so everyone's like, talk more about getting the clap.
Oh God! Hold on, let me text my wife first.
It was like I dated this chick. I'll tell you very quickly. I don't remember telling this on radio. Because you get into this zone. If you're drinking beer, anyone will say something. You'll just be like, I'll tell you that story. You feel like you're hanging out. And I only had sex with 2 chicks. The first chick was the girl I lost my virginity to. The next chick is this girl I dated for 5 years. She fucked my best friend, gave me the clap. And I went to the doctor, and I was like, at Florida State, and I was like, something's going on with my urination. And he was like, oh, you got the clap. And I was like, well, no. And he's like, have you been sleeping around? I go, nope, just with one person. He goes, then she's sleeping around. I go, no, that's impossible. He goes, no, that's like by the way, he's like probably 23. I'm 22. Like, he's just a little older than me and smarter in med school. And he's like, no, that's exactly what happened. Your chick's cheating on you.
So then what do? You instantly call her and confront her?
I denied it. I was like, that's impossible. I was like, that's impossible. He goes, I remember he said this. I don't know why this stuck with me. He goes, can I ask you a question? I go, yeah. And he goes, when you go to the bar, do you and your dick stay together? And I was like, what? He's like, well, I'm asking, do you guys split up to cover more territory and then meet up at the end of the night, or are you with your dick the whole night? I go, I'm with it the whole night. And he goes, and you're sure that it hasn't been in anybody? I go, I'm certain. And he goes, then buddy, your chick's a whore.
Oh no.
I was like, and I forced him to give me the test of like the Q-tip, which was the most painful thing I've ever felt.
Right in your pee hole?
Yep.
Oh.
They dab it, and I remember he said, brace yourself. I was like, what? He goes, take a deep breath in, hold on to the table. This is going to hurt. And I was like, okay. And boy, that hurt. And the second he did it, I was like, she is a whore. And I was like, and then I went and told her, I was like, you must have slept with someone. And she denied it. And I was like, I thought I was crazy. I told this on radio. I don't remember really sharing the story, but like, I thought I was crazy. And then I get to the club and everyone's like, talk about the time you thought you had the clap. And I was like, I just talked about that. And I don't know if I want to share it again. They're like, say it, tell it one more time.
Jeez. Wow. So, yeah, I can imagine like normal stand-up, your normal like routine, it would be very tough to tell, like have a whole crowd of people that have been frothing at the mouth waiting for you to show up. Like you show up, it's like the Pope. And then how are they going to sit there and be quiet while you're going through like a 10-minute story?
Oh, and yeah. And so it turns into a lot of that. It turns into a very interactive show of continuing the conversation of what we just said on radio. So that and then that happened that whole week. So I ended up in Richmond right after that, and everyone was like, and I guess that also speaks to the dialogue that you have, and I'm sure you notice it, but like the dialogue that we've created with I think fans is a weird word. So I only really believe I have like probably 2,500 legit fans, but like fans, like people that listen to you on your podcast or on your radio show, mm-hmm. they listen to you every day, and they listen to you once a week, or and they're like. And then the things that you share that you don't remember sharing kind of resonate with them. And then all of a sudden that becomes something that they're like, talk about the time Isla knocked that kid unconscious. And I don't even remember it. And I'm like, what? And they're like, the time? And I was like, are you talking about eyes closed karate? And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah. Like you forget the things you say.
And it breaks their heart too that if you don't remember it too. I find that I'm like that with all the different podcasts that I listen to. I mean, I scroll through and see like different guests that I like on other people's, and I mean, I have like a stable of ones that I pretty much listen to them when I can. But if I'm in the car or whatever, that's all I do is listen to podcasts. But I would say you feel like you do know the person a little bit. Like when you do, it depends on how open the person is. Especially a lot of comedians that I listen to, like you guys. You're not holding anything back.
Hang on. Speaking of which, Isla, come over here and say hi. My daughter just walked in. I'm like, time to change the conversation.
Oh gosh.
No. Hey, this is my buddy AJ. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey Isla, how you doing?
Good.
So listen, can you go play out on the swing set outside? Because we're doing an interview right now.
Okie dokie.
Awesome. I love you. Hang on. All right, baby. So like there was this time on Rogan that I thought I got genital warts, and I was like, and I told this story. I don't remember telling it. I remember it happening, but I didn't know that I shared it on Rogan. And it was like I literally convinced myself I had genital warts. Convinced myself. And this is before the internet was super big. So I literally was Googling, and this is before Google. I think I was asking Jeeves about how to get. And so I like apparently all I know is that at some point I told everyone that my ritual would be at the end of the night I'd spray my junk with Tinactin and then soak it in white vinegar, drink a 40, and watch Quantum Leap. And which is true. I know that's true because that's what I did, but I didn't know I said that on Rogan. And then man, sure enough, everyone's like, people like come up to me and they're like, "Hey man, I want to talk about that white vinegar stuff." And I'm like, "What?" but you forget, the conversation you have. You do. I mean, I don't know how you usually do like an hour podcast.
Yeah, however, an hour, sometimes two. Sometimes
we got that West Coast offense out here where every podcast is like 2.5 hours plus.
Yeah, man, serious.
And it's one of those things that, like, I mean, I think, like, I've done 5-hour podcasts before. Like, I did a podcast with Stanhope that was 5 hours. I had to split it in two.
I heard it. In the
middle of it, we had dinner with my family.
It was awesome. It was great. I love Stanhope.
Oh, he's the best, right?
I had him on.
Had him on yet?
I've mentioned it on here before. I had him on, honestly, maybe a year ago, and it's the one I haven't released yet. It's not a long story. Basically, it was absolutely amazing. I was laughing the whole time. He was coming off like a 3-day bender. He had like a marching band coming over, and he was at Bingo, and Bingo was invited all these people, and he was like, "Well, I guess I gotta find my guy, get some coke, and stay awake for this party." Like, but the stuff he said, I'm like torn. I wanna release it, but they talk about like protecting the shield, the NFL. Like I feel like the execs that I work for, supposedly, I feel like they might get a little. I don't know. I feel like Stanhope might have offended a few people.
Dude, he has got you. Can I tell you a podcast? Maybe I shouldn't, but I mean, yes. I will. But like, I'll tell you a podcast. You want to talk about burning it to the ground? Have you been listening to anything Kevin Brennan's doing lately?
Oh my goodness, because I heard him on Opie and Jimmy, and I just started the last couple of days. I listened to 2 of the episodes. Is he like that's him, or is that a character? Like, what is that,
dude? You know what? I don't know. I think part of me, because I like Neil. Neil's a very sweet guy. I've never disliked Neil, but man, he hates his brother, and
he hates everybody too. Like
he hates everybody.
He goes after everybody.
Everybody. He's like the Donald Trump of stand-up. He's got a podcast called Misery Loves Company, where I just listen to him rant, and at one point you're like I'm like, this got to be a character. Like, there's no way this is real. But then you realize he's 55, right?
Is he really?
Like,
he's that old?
55, wow. and we'll just. I mean, like I don't want him to focus his sights on me. So like,
it's like anonymous. You don't want anonymous coming after your iCloud.
Dude, not at all. I like Kevin Brennan. He was the first person I knew in stand-up because my uncles went to school with him. Okay. And when I moved to New York, they were like, "Look for Kevin Brennan. Introduce yourself. Tell him you're Dave Hobson's nephew." And literally the first person I met Kevin Brennan, I said, "Hey, my name's Bert. I want to be a stand-up." And he was like, "Oh, great." And I was like, well, "Can you give me any advice?" And he goes, "You need to talk to this guy. He's got all the knowledge." And he sat me next to Attell, and Attell was like, so I was like, "Buy me a cocktail." and so that was my, but you got to, I mean, very candidly, I think he's had a lot of opportunities that have never panned out. And I think, and his brother is his brother is someone who I don't think has ever not capitalized on an opportunity.
Yeah, Neil Brennan. Yeah, Neil was a writer for the Chappelle Show. Is that right?
He created the Chappelle Show.
Wow.
Created the Chappelle Show. Huge director. Did an hour special on Comedy Central. I mean, like literally, kind of, I guess, I think this is where it comes from, but kind of lapped Kevin a little quickly. And Kevin, there's got to be frustrations, and the fact that it's like what is like but in his defense, like what bridges is he burning really? I mean, he's just saying he doesn't like Amy Schumer. Amy's never going to put him in anything. He says he doesn't like Judd Apatow. Judd would have put him in something a long time. He's not burning a bridge. He's just putting leaves on a walkway.
You're right. It doesn't, for him, and as a stand-up, you guys are so, like, it's such an individual thing that he's going to get more stage time because of it, not less.
Dude, he will get more fans speaking the way he's speaking than to try to play by the protecting the shield. I mean, we do that in stand-up. Look, I've had many incidences with comics, and some I've spoken out loud and some I haven't. And I regret ever speaking out loud about anything ever, and it's something I will never talk negatively or honestly about anyone for the rest of my life, because once you say something, as honest as you may be or as heartfelt as you may be or as vulnerable as you may be, everyone interprets it 9 different ways, and so if I found that in my position, it's better just keep your mouth shut, never say anyone's name, and just be like, whatever, I got friends, those are my friends, I'm not saying a word. Man, but when you see someone going, I don't care, it's it really is genuinely refreshing. Like when other comics are texting you, like, if you listen to Kevin Brennan's podcast, and I'm like, what? Kevin Brennan, he's the guy that you're like, I guarantee you, is like, I'm not doing a stupid fucking podcast. And now you're like, Jesus, like bring someone. I want to see him interview. He did a podcast. He's talking about Keith getting a stroke, and he's mocking it. I'm like, he's like, maybe I can get some hosting.
He is like, so I saw like the whole evolution of it, because I was a huge Opie and Anthony fan, and so Opie and Jimmy, their whole debacle. Man, I'm sure you listened to like the falling out between Opie and Anthony, whatever. The falling out between the Opie and Jimmy fight. How about the Opie and Jimmy fight, man?
Are you kidding me? I just said to myself, I now have a reason to stay on the treadmill for 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
I literally put it on in my man cave on the TVs on Apple TV and listen to the whole thing. It is. I got to be honest with you. I love both those guys, but it was really fascinating to listen to.
Oh, it was unbelievable, man. And I give Jimmy so much respect, obviously because of how open he is and the stuff he talks about. I mean, absolutely fearless. But how Jimmy handles a situation like that, he's almost has like that Joe Rogan quality where he like removes himself and like tries to see all sides of the argument, and he stayed calm throughout the whole thing. And he just plays like, I don't know, Jimmy he's really good communicator, I feel like, and he was with Opie, and that seems like their issue is they weren't communicating at all, or Opie wasn't communicating with Jimmy.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think I hope this isn't come as a slight to anybody, but like one of the things that I realized in Opie and Jimmy is just how talented Opie is. Like I think in Opie and Anthony, no one got to see how talented he was. It's like I guess theoretically, if you were watching film of the game Thursday, he was always on the outside blocking the guy that you never ended up seeing never tackle the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I having done the show, I've had a really good time when I go in and do the show. But I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy's characters. Like I think that's one of the things they were divisive on was Opie didn't like the characters.
You didn't like Uncle Paul for some reason because he has kids. I have kids. I love Uncle Paul.
Uncle Paul. It's the same reason I like Kevin Brennan.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, listen, I enjoy Cam Newton celebrating, but it's also fun to see Kevin Brennan lose his mind over it. I mean, it was the dumbest argument. Is Kevin Brennan arguing about how Cam Newton needs to not celebrate because he's black? And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Dude,
He doesn't tie it all together.
If I play professional football, I can guarantee you I may do nothing all season, but if there's a fumble, I'll be the guy going, "Oh, this way, we got it."
You'll get camera time. Believe me,
I will be this way, we got it.
You watch, don't you? There's a lot of guys like that for real.
Dude, that would be me. 100%. Helmet off. We got the fumble.
Did you text all your buddies afterwards? You see me? You see it? Did they get me? They saw on my face. You're right.
Oh, it's the greatest. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm all about gossip. I'll tell you one thing though. When you're the center of the gossip, it sucks dick.
When have you ever been the center of it though? Where you're aware?
Change the subject.
For people that are just listening on iTunes, you gave me like a Valley Girl look. It was awesome.
I gave you
Like the Valley Girl. You didn't do the tone of it. You didn't speak like it, but it was amazing. What are you talking like with your whole? I know you have a little. What's your situation like with Jay Moore? I talk to him every once in a while.
To him.
Really? You guys haven't figured that out yet?
No, I haven't spoken to him.
Man. Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to say anything about anybody. It's no reason for you to. But if you are the subject of gossip, yeah, I guess. But with comics, though, if comics are talking, it seems like everything stems from jealousy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, they're jealous. How does that feel as a comic? Is that hard to get over? I know comics talk about it. If you see a guy on TV, like maybe has a special, new Netflix, whatever it may be, and you see a guy getting, like, propped up, and you guys, especially like, all like comics, are like, man, this dude sucks.
Yeah.
How does that? Is that still in? Are you still in? Is that like a work in progress, or do you ever get over that?
No, I think I think Barry Katz. You know Barry, right?
I used to listen to a lot of his podcasts. I haven't in a while. He talks so slow, man. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah, you got to put it on ×2 speed for Barry's.
It's the relationships again.
Yeah.
Like how he always comes back to it.
He's good. He's really good to talk to. He has a lot of really insightful things, and I'm sure he read out of a book. I don't think Barry came up with them, but like, and he has horrible advice. Like he has some of the world's worst advice ever. And like and I've told Barry this personally, but there's a reason I left him. He doesn't get jokes sometimes. Like you're a comedy manager, you should be getting the joke. But one of the things he said is he's like, I don't even know the line, but it's like you're running your own race. Don't look at the other people. It's amazing, man, that you just see people like that you find untalented succeeding in like leaps and bounds, and it's not that you're jealous of them. You just start hating yourself. You start going like what's wrong with me? Like for me, I've always been like, oh, I drink too much. Don't worry about it. If I quit drinking, I could just have that career. But what I do now is I just kind of surround myself by the people I love and watch their success and have it inspire me. Like Ari. Ari really. I don't think anyone really understands the honest growth and departure Ari took forward to change his career into a place where he is now so successful. I mean, you got to remember, Ari was straight stoner, living on Sunset, doing nothing but like touring with Joe, spots at the store, to becoming an executive producer on Comedy Central for a show that's going into its third season, to doing 2 hours back to back, doing another hour, having one of the most successful podcasts. And you're like, wow. So I look at Ari as inspiration. Joey Diaz, Tom Segura. Tom Segura and I started technically together. We both worked for Jay Moore. We both were commiserated as like the on and off host feature guys. And I mean, I think both of us sat there at one point going like, how will this ever happen for either of us? Like, we're not like movie star good looks. We're not like super slick. We don't know the right things to say to people. We can't just like come up with a sentence right off the bat, put our hand out and shake it, and everyone loves us. We're just regular dudes. And then to see Tom explode the way he's exploding, I mean, and Tom won't tell you, but I'll tell you, he's going to clubs, and they are offering him ridiculous money to add shows to every single night. He's only in clubs for like probably a few more months before he's doing theaters, and I'm talking like first round of Bill Burr theaters, like big theaters. And so, like, when you watch that, it's inspirational. It's inspirational because I go, so it's just hard work and being a good guy, you know? And so I think if you surround yourself by those guys and look at those stories, it's the same thing. It's like, dude, if you go to YouTube and you just watch road rage karma all day. You're just going to be like, the road looks terrifying. I don't want to get out there. But if you go to YouTube and watch, kitten videos like my daughter's, and or people are awesome, then you're like, oh yeah, there's so much,
It makes sense, man. Yeah, you'd be inspired by people around you doing well. That's something that's it's a lot easier said than done for sure. But I think it's an awesome message. But don't you ever feel like you're torn between like these two worlds of? I mean, you're a big time TV host. Is Trip Flip still filming?
Mm. We're in flux right now because I just wrapped my third season of Bert the Conqueror, which is
it got picked back up, right?
My original show. Yeah, never say never. Like they called up one day and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do 13 episodes?" And I was like, "Sure." And like literally just out of the blue. And then they halfway through they were like, "We love it. We want to extend it to an hour." And you're like, "Shut up." So that will be airing in June, and I think right now they're kind of trying to figure out where their priority lays. Is it Trip Flip or Bert the Conqueror? Because one will take precedent over shooting, I think, beginning in May. I'm not certain. So you're kind of in flux. But the great thing about working for that network is they call up one day. They're like, "Hey, do you want to have lunch with a chef in Hawaii?" And you're like, "Okay." And they're like, "Great, you leave Thursday, and then you fly out to Hawaii for like a weekend. And all you got to do is have lunch with a chef, then fly home."
Man, and what show would you rather catch on, Bert the Conqueror or Trip Flip?
I wish we could do a mashup because I love them both. The Trip Flip's great because you travel with a group. I traveled with a group of 11 and for 4 years. And we were like family. I mean, we did everything together. We all jumped off stadiums in Africa. We jumped off rope swings in Interlaken. We all went hella skiing. We all drank goat's blood with a Maasai chief. I mean, we were like a tight, we all went swimming with great white sharks. Like we did everything together because we'd film it. And then you always have time over to go like, "Hey, who wants to get in the cage with great white sharks?" And my whole crew's like in wetsuits going, "We're in, take a picture of me." And then Bert the Conqueror, I brought a lot of those people over, but it was a smaller crew. I just wish we could do the fun international stuff. Like it's just the greatest show because like the things that that aren't shared is like, so like you go to Vietnam and you live on a junk boat for 4 days. But what they don't show is that when you wrap, then everyone just parties. And it's 11 people who all know each other very well on a massive junk. It's a junk boat is almost like an oxymoron because it's beautiful, but a massive boat in Ha Long Bay just killing beers, having like the greatest night ever, looking up at the stars, going, "I can't believe I'm here."
Couldn't you film that yourself and put it online?
Oh, now we're talking
on your YouTube channel.
I could. I didn't know anything about editing or vlogs at the time. When I was doing Trip Flip, I literally just showed up on the vlog scene like recently, and I think that is going to be the future. Buns and I are literally Tom Segura and I are talking literally about opening a production house for guys like Ari and Joey, where we just have an editor and we give them a camera, and then they can go film it, give us the card. Our editor goes and just edits it into a vlog for them and post it on their thing. But
so it would take all that, because you edit your vlog right now, so that would be the reason to start something. So you'd film all this stuff and then you would just hand it to the guy and he'd put your episode together.
Yeah, we were talking because Tom's doing that now. I shouldn't be. I mean, Tom didn't care. I don't have any secrets, and if Tom's ever upset by anything I tell, he can. We're very close, so I don't. But like, yeah, Tom hired an editor for his latest vlog. That's why it's so awesome. But he was like, in his defense, he was like, "I'm going to Conan. I don't want to mess it up. I want people to see this. I want to remember it." That's a lot of these vlogs for me and Tom are just kind of like it's like getting to see like home movies. So
yeah, it's documenting your life. Like your kids can watch this when their dad's gone in 80 years.
Yeah, 80 years. Huh? The way I'm living.
I mean, you're looking good, man. You got these cleanses. You're on cleanses in between these binges of drinking 40 beers. You're doing good, man. The yin and the yang.
I'm the Mark Twain of beer drinking. I think people think I drink more than I do, but yeah, I own it pretty solidly.
I mean, that's your character you play.
Yeah. So it's a character I play.
You're like Kevin Brennan.
Yeah.
It's like your Kevin Brennan character.
I'm Kevin Brennan, but instead of talking trash, I put trash into my mouth. God damn. But yeah, so Tom's vlog was awesome. And then I said to him, I was like, dude, and he was like, there's a way. The second one of our vlogs catch on, people will discover all of them, and that's the way that works. And then all of a sudden, all of us will be making 60 grand in ad sales a month off these vlogs. I mean, you look at these vloggers; and by the way, they have no talent. They have no talent, and so you're watching these guys make 60 grand a month off vlogs. And Tom and I are like, we're on television. We are hired to be in front of a camera. Why wouldn't we do this for ourselves?
Now, that like making say 60 grand a month, where does that come from? That's from like if your YouTube channel gets a certain amount of hits, then that's just like a podcast being how you sell advertising on that.
Yeah. Well, what happens is it's very different. YouTube's got an algorithm that I think they plug you into. So once you get to 15,000 subscribers for unique content, meaning like you're not putting like, cat videos or whatever, YouTube reaches out to you and they go, hey, you're a young filmmaker, not me, but like they said that to me, you're a filmmaker, we want to help you. We want to get you to the next level. We want to invite you out to YouTube so that you can see the facilities and learn how to utilize things better. And they start almost like, and you start getting contacted. Like I get contacted by the Huffington Post to put my vlog on their front page. And then they start really kind of like your ad sales dollars go up. Like right now, I think an ad sales dollar for just anyone's channel is like $1.50, $1.33 or whatever per click, per ad or whatever. But then it goes to like $3 if you're creating original content for them. They're like, oh no, we want you here, so we'll increase your ad sales. But it's all through AdSense. And then here's the real kicker. Okay, this is where I believe I don't think we've even scratched the surface right now, is integrations. Like, I mean, how great would it say you had a daily vlog, right? Say you just had a daily vlog or not daily, but like weekly vlog where you just, it's very simple. It's a little bit of your life, working out, watching football or doing football or doing the podcast, and then something else you like a good restaurant with you and a couple friends.
Mm-hmm.
How easy would it be for them to give you a Ram truck, and then that's how you got around? And by the way, that Ram truck's everywhere. Like The Rock has that big Ford truck. Yeah. Just they give you that Ram truck. They give you a free truck. Maybe they give you $100 grand to drive that truck, and you 52 times a year you just have that truck. You have a B-roll package of that truck. So every time you get in it, they plug in that B-roll package of you getting in your truck. That's what we do on television, and it's so easily done. Like there's this guy, I saw this guy's vlog, and he's just got some crappy car, and I was like, why would you but it's like cheesy crappy, and I was like, that's got to be an integration. That's got to Roman Atwood.
Yeah. He's
got just some like dorky car. And I was like, I want to say he lives in Ohio.
Really?
Roman Atwood.
What's he do?
He's like a vlogger. He's one of the biggest vloggers, but he's got a car. And like these guys, because they don't come from a TV background, aren't utilizing the ad sales branding message in their vlogs. What they're doing is they're simply getting free rims from a rim dealer and then saying, I'll do a vlog about me getting rims on my car. Oh. And so, but they skip all of that. Get the car, get the car, get your mortgage refinanced, and talk about like, there's so much more to do, that I just see a bigger side of this. And I think so does Tom, both of us. And that's how I've made my money on travel channels, just through ad sales, through bringing in, think about it. Australia pays people money to come to Australia and film. So
really?
Why wouldn't?
So like the government will pay you to come film an episode of Trip Flip?
Well, ballpark. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud.
Yeah, like your ballpark. They pay you personally, or like they'll pay Travel Channel directly?
They pay for the episode to be filmed there.
They pay for the talent. They pay for Bert. They're not paying for the production crew to go there.
They're paying for everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're paying for you. No Bert, no money.
Well, technically, yeah, but I'm Travel Channel just very quickly go, do you want us to replace you? And I'd be like, never mind.
I'm just trying to pump you up a little bit.
Yeah. Like Michigan. I've done episodes in Michigan. Michigan will pay for you to come and film in Michigan.
It's like it's like movies that film in Vancouver or whatever for the tax credits.
Right, like except we are there to highlight their tourism and say, you should come to Australia. Now, why wouldn't Australia, think about it, me, you, Tom Segura, right? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't Australia say, hell yeah, we'll give you 3 first-class tickets, we'll fly you down, we'll have someone hang out with you, you guys vlog about it, do some podcasts down there, do a live podcast, and then we'll fly you home. It's no money out of their pocket. No money. Hotels, that's it. They're never going to spend more than probably 10 grand activity budget, and then 3 first-class tickets, which Qantas will give to them for free. Why and all of a sudden we have a between me, you, and Tom, our outreach is I'm gonna ballpark it at like 1 million people. So the 1 million people just all of a sudden are like, damn it, I kind of want to go to Australia. That would be fun, man. Guys trip to Australia. So I think that opportunity is out there. I just think what it takes is following the business paradigm of a production company and downsizing it, and making it a little easier and more user friendly, getting it on YouTube. I really believe that. I mean, Iceland just paid this guy, Mr. Ben Brown, a ton of money to just go hang out in Iceland. Turkey flew Casey Neistat to Turkey for a week on Turkish Airlines to highlight the first class and to show them how fun Turkey is.
And you got to have video. It's all coming from video.
It's got to be video, but none of these guys understand the power of podcasting. And so we could, if we took your podcast, which has video as well, and we did a live podcast at like a huge opera house in Sydney, and all your fans came out, all Tom's fans came out, and mine, and we did a live podcast, and then with the video element, I mean, I just think that we haven't scratched the surface. I really believe that. Dude, I'm talking about podcasting. My wife just discovered podcasting. The second her and her friends figure it out, this is going to blow the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know?
It's ridiculous how many people don't know about podcasts.
I said to someone today, they were like, hey, you know what? Have you ever heard of The Moment? And I said, yeah, with Brian Koppelman. And they said, I said, how did you hear about it? And they're like, some people were running the LA Marathon this weekend and were talking about which ones they were listening to. They're like, how do I find that?
Oh, God. How do I find that in my car? Is that an AM or FM?
Yeah. And I go, no, I go, give me your phone. I grabbed their phone. I was like, you don't even have the podcast app on. I give them the podcast app. I take them. I subscribe them to Koppelman. I subscribe them to me. I subscribe to you. I subscribe to Funds. I rate, review, and subscribe to all of them.
Yes.
And I was like, that's how you do it. My wife comes to me. She goes, I've heard that Serial's a podcast, but I don't know how to get that. I go, honey, I've had a podcast for 2.5 years. What do you mean you don't know how to get it? She goes, I knew you'd get mad. Like, how do I find it? I go, are you shitting me? Like, we've been paying for my freaking RSS feed I go, give me your phone. It's so easy. Once that's described, and once you can find the stuff you like, that's the other thing. That's why I love your podcast, because you're doing something different. You're not just so many of us are replicating what Maron and Rogan have set out to do, you know, so many comics, and you are having such a broad stroke of people on that it really is completely something in and of itself. And the way you approach the medium is just entirely different. And then Colt Cabana, he's doing straight up wrestling podcasts. I'll tell you something. I started listening to him and CM Punk the other day.
Yeah. It's
fascinating. It really is fascinating to hear him and CM Punk talk about literally the logistics and the financials of the WWE. And you're like, I never watched pro wrestling ever. And I'm sitting there going, holy crap. I'm like looking up, apparently Triple H has a nickname, Hunter. And I'm like, who's Hunter? Who's Hunter? And then I'm like, they're talking about Triple H? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dude, we'll get or I'll talk to you. We'll text back and forth or get each other's number.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you exactly what I did. I'll do exactly what I told Tom. Tell you what camera to get and how to do it. It's so easy, and you'll be shocked. The numbers there, they happen so much quicker, and it's such a different conversation than you have with your podcast. But you should be you put these on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, but I don't have video for all of them. When I record in Cincinnati, I don't have a video like this in Columbus. So most of them I try to have video for, but a lot of them I'm just strictly audio.
Really?
It just depends, like what. Yeah, I'm gonna get video in Cincy, but right now I don't know. Yeah, I put them on my YouTube channel, but I don't. That's the thing. I know, like what you're saying. It opens my eyes a lot to it. I know that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
And I know I've had different things and people tell me what I should do, but to like actually do it, and I'm like, man, no, I don't want to sit here and hold a camera up. Like, hey guys, here's me throwing kettlebell. Like it's about doing it. I still feel it's just not, I don't know. I just feel like a douche.
Don't worry. I do too. You have no idea what it's like to go to a comedy club and Sarah Silverman sees you doing a selfie and she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, and then I go, hey guys, it's Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel. Like everything I do would be really cool. I mean, I get to do some awesome stuff. Same with you. Like I feel like if I'm documenting this, I'm like the third grader in the room.
Like, look, this is my camera, okay? It's a Canon G7X.
Okay.
It is super tiny. It is a point and shoot. I take this. This is my Dinkum System clip.
I love those, man. I started looking at them from after you started talking about them. I don't know if they're a sponsor or not of you.
Let me give you. I will send an email to the guy who creates this. His name's John Mans, and he'll just send you a bunch of them.
Oh man,
they're amazing. I put my GoPros on them, and like, by the way, you can do a whole video, a whole vlog with a GoPro because the audio on here is fantastic. So you can just hold a GoPro up and do it like this.
So yeah, I have a couple GoPros that I have one of them I haven't even opened. I don't use them.
Dude, the GoPros are fantastic.
Yeah.
Get someone who knows what they're doing and set it up so it's not super wide. It's a medium shot or a narrow shot, and get it on 1080 and literally get a thing and hook one of these Dinkums to it. You can find the case, the outdoor case, hook a Dinkum and just bring it around. Bring it around for like one day and then give someone that footage and say, hey, can you just cut that into a 9-minute video with some music and just make it look cool? Dude, a real editor can bang that out in under an hour. And you will be shocked with how inspirational it is. You're like, wow, that is kind of cool. I'll tell you this much. I took this camera, my Canon G7X to, we do this thing called the Goddamn Comedy Jam. Bill Burr kind of started it. It's where we go, do stand-up, and then we sing a song at the end. And so you can go and you can find it on my vlog. I brought my camera. This is when I ran into Sarah. Joe DeRosa is there, Matt Voltron, everyone. Sarah Silverman's boyfriend's apparently very famous. He's like a very famous actor. So I say to Sarah, hey, can I shoot you a little bit? Like, I just want to, I want to cover it for my vlog. And she is, by the way, not only like creeped out, but she's so, and she doesn't know me that well, so she can't say no. She feels weird saying no. And I'm sure she would have said no. But she was like, yeah, just don't shoot any of my stand-up. I go, don't worry about it. I just want to get it so that I can show you walking on stage, you singing, you walking off stage. So I go home that night, I had a few pops. So I come to the man cave like I do every night and like literally just bottle of wine, start editing. And I just stay up till 2 a.m. editing. I post it. By the way, it's pretty legit editing on this vlog.
Yeah.
I post it. I tag Sarah in it. She sees it, and then literally I get a call the next morning like, "Hey, Sarah loved that. Can she get the rest of that video?" And it's You're right. It feels silly to do a selfie. It feels silly to have your camera and do it, but the other side is you catch some pretty amazing stuff. Sarah sang amazingly. And I didn't shoot the whole thing because I didn't want to make her creep her out. But in retrospect, I think both of us wished I had shot the whole thing. I mean, you look at that dinner from Me, Buns, and Push with my wife. It's a badass video because like I put cool music to it, and I did like a time lapse where it went reverse and just looked fun. And literally, Joey Diaz saw it and was like, "Dude, we got to go to dinner, me, you, and Tom," because it looks like we had more fun than we did. Push had gas the entire time. She was about to give birth. Tom couldn't drink. She wouldn't let him smoke pot. So I'm having a blast because I was hopping off a cleanse. I'm like killing wine. My wife's shitting on me, but it looked like we had so much more fun. And it's just because I edited it that way. But like let me tell you something. If you had a vlog of just, dude, you could literally just do, hey, just workout, like just a workout tip of like what, just take a look at what you want to show and shoot the stuff you're comfortable shooting, Like, this should be part of your vlog. Literally, you cut the best part of this, 2 minutes, put that on your vlog, some workout stuff, something cool about, like, maybe you ordering food, like something, I'd be interested to see how much you eat.
Yeah, hey, that'd be good. I have 3 dogs. I got a German Shepherd that'll bite you, a Belgian Malinois, she'll really bite you. So, yeah.
Dude, there's so much more about your life. And not
inspiring me, Bert.
In a sense way, but in like a share it, and be honest. It doesn't need to be narcissism. It doesn't need to be how cool is my life. It just needs to be an insight to kind of an extension of this. Once again, it's this extension of the conversation we're having with the people that listen to us. Yeah. And I like, dude, in all honesty, and I say this, I'm not saying this because he's my friend, but Rogan's one of the most inspirational people. I have the shake that I've been having every morning that I'm home for the past 2 years. I would have never known about that shake had I not seen Joe Rogan vlog about making his shake. I learned about hemp protein. I learned about mean green, about kale, about ginger. But I just saw that and I went, oh, that's cool as shit. Like, I'm obsessed with the paleo diet right now. I'm on this thing called Paleo OMG. It's this lady who just has great recipes. Yeah. Dude, I'm dying for someone to start making, like, cooking at home and making paleo. I'd subscribe to their fucking vlog.
Oh, if they were cooking like all paleo, you'd watch and mimic their recipes?
Dude, like, do you ever see those things on Facebook where they're like, this is how you make the ultimate s'mores thing, and then they like put chocolate all in the pan, and then marshmallows and graham crackers. And like, I'm fucking making that when I get home. Like, I love that shit.
That's but okay. So you put on. Obviously, I know I've heard you talk about you need to own your content. You need to own everything. So have it on your own YouTube page or whatever. But what about like? Don't you still Periscope and whatever, Instagram and all that stuff, or Snapchat?
I Periscope. I don't Snapchat. I don't even know how that works really. I Periscope every now and then. I found that the Facebook mentions are bigger than the Periscope. Although I have like 50,000 followers on Periscope, the Facebook mentions actually is more of an outreach because it reaches to everyone on Facebook and people can share it on Facebook differently. Kevin Hart and Joe Rogan turned me onto that, like just by watching theirs. But I Instagram like some stuff, but not enough. Like there's so much shit that you have in your life that I would like. I want to know like theoretically, like say you wanted a pair of sneakers, do you go buy them, or can you call someone to get you sneakers, or can like say you want workout clothes? Can you just call someone and go, hey, I'd like more workout clothes? Or I just
snap my finger like this, and then my wife finds them. No, the questions like that are the kind of questions that I have about everybody else. So yeah, I understand that for sure. But yeah, I mean, if to actually answer you, a lot of guys have like you have like a shoe deal, like like Nike will say Nike has they'll pay them a certain amount of money, and they'll give you a certain amount of product for each year that they have, whatever. And so you go on to Nike ID, or not Nike ID, whatever the website is for Nike. Your players have your personal account, and you just order it and ship it right to your house.
Really? Like that'd be fat. Like there's so much to your life that I think that you probably find mundane, but that we find that the average person finds absolutely fascinating.
That's the hard thing, getting over that. I agree with you. We're not saying that my life is fascinating, but that's how everybody else's is.
1%, you're a 1%er in fascinating. You realize that.
But it's like anything where, I guess you're not though, because I always say like Brad Pitt still goes home and he's Brad Pitt. Like he might have 10 kids running around. I don't know how many nannies they have, whatever. But Brad Pitt still like has the same issues that me and you have.
Right, but wouldn't that be cool to see Brad Pitt make mac and cheese? Like just be awesome. Like see him be like
have him like turds, like his kid's diarrhea all over his hands or something.
Like if you saw Brad Pitt go, Ange, do I put yogurt in this or do I put butter in this? Do we put butter? And her go, no, that's too fattening. They're gonna get like. I would love to see the regular part of like what Brad wanted to share with you. I don't know how many times. Like, and these are the little things that I find interesting, but like motorcycle gloves. I'd love like one day if he was like, let me show you all my motorcycle gloves. Because I think that's like that stuff like that. I'd be like, shut up. Like, or all his motorcycles or, just the regular stuff. Like what's so crazy when you emailed me, I had always been told that at the NFL, you got an NFL email and an NFL cell phone.
Oh, I love it.
Like your cell phone it started with like 1-800 NFL something.
Who told you that? I love that.
I think what was the guy, the defensive back for the Giants who married Angie Harmon?
Seahorn.
Jason. I think I learned it through Jason Seahorn because he married a girl I dated in high school.
Angie Harmon?
No. This other girl, Whitney Casey.
I got you. Oh, okay.
I think she dates Danny Cannell now.
Oh, another Florida State legend.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wait, no, that's now no special emails, no special cell phones.
See, like that's like those. There's so much that like. And by the way, I would say like, I'm a fan in that I love the game, but like I'm not an obsessive fan. Like I couldn't rattle off. I don't know one guy I know Todd Turley or Todd
Gurley,
the guy on the Rams that we're getting. Yeah, that's the only guy. And I got season tickets. Like so,
you got season tickets to LA Rams already.
I signed up for the pre-buy. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're getting a football team, and so
are you gonna you gonna go to games?
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel all my Sunday shows. So I'm home for Sunday games.
You can tailgate and video it and vlog it.
I've been wanting this my whole life.
What to vlog a tailgate?
No.
What do you mean?
I'm just putting a vlog a tailgate, man. No, just to have like this, like, there's, LA doesn't have. I never lived somewhere that had a sense of civic pride in that, like, that's our team. Like, I grew up in Tampa, so the Bucks, we were always ashamed of them. And then when they got good, I was gone. Yeah. And so like, now it's like everyone's losing their mind about the Rams. Like, kids are wearing Rams stuff to school. Like, it's just great.
I hope they keep it up, man. I have some buddies on the team. I hope they stay with it, regardless of how the team does. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a whole new, like.
Well, I'm giving them a year. So
1 year and then you're off the wagon. You're
I mean, listen, guys, I'm a fair weather friend.
You want him to sign Peyton? Isn't there rumors that they wanted Peyton to go over there?
Yeah, I'd love it. I would love Peyton Manning here.
Be awesome.
It would be great. It would be like him, just Johnny Unitas walking out. I don't even know who their quarterback is now. Nick Foles.
Oh gosh, he was, and then he got hurt or got benched. They've had a couple guys going in and out of there now.
I'll take Manziel.
You want? I think. How about the rebirth in LA for Johnny Football?
I think we should have Manziel and Tim Tebow.
What a 1-2 combo, and they're competing in training camp for the job,
dude. And how? By the way, how much would you listen to Tim Tebow's vlog if he was holding a vlog? Even if you had to listen through the prayer shit, you'd be like, just get to the part where you guys are fighting over the position.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. That would be good. And the good thing is, Bert, you live in LA. Training camp, the practice is always open to the public. You could go watch this and selfie vlog yourself at practice.
Dude,
there's Johnny, it's me, Bert.
Johnny, what's up, Johnny?
It's Bert. You take your shirt off.
We were at the Rose Bowl for the Florida State championship game against Alabama. It's when they won. It was a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it Alabama? My buddy, I'm forgetting. I don't know if it's Alabama or not. Whatever.
Might have been Alabama or Auburn. And my buddy Eddie, Tim Tebow was doing college game day, and we were all sitting there and we're all fucking hammered. Tom Segura was with me, oddly enough. And Tim Tebow's walking down. Tim Tebow's a big dude, but he's walking down the thing, and he's like, he's got a strut on. He's just beautiful. He's a gorgeous man. And my buddy Eddie goes, oh my God, Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow smiles and looks at him, and he goes,
are you serious?
Tim Tebow, he couldn't help but laugh because he got caught. He was like, oh yeah, it's me. And he went,
good for Tim for laughing, though. Not getting mad.
He had a good sense of humor about it. But, I'm horrible. I was at a party one night in Atlanta, and my buddy's like, I'm going to meet my girlfriend. I was like, oh, cool. I have no interest in meeting someone's girlfriend. I'm like, how good to me? Yeah. And she was like, she starts talking about her brother. Timmy. Timmy. Starts to bring her brother up a couple times, and you're like, and at one point I'm like, who's your brother? She goes, Tim Tebow. And I went, shut up. I was like, you just became interesting.
Now I'll talk to you.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm in.
Did that make her shut down when she all of a sudden saw your lights turn on?
Dude, I can creep the fuck out of people. Like, I am literally, I am so easily swayed by celebrity. Like, if someone comes to my show, the other night, Dakota Fanning came to my show.
Nice.
And so, yeah, right? And so, by the way, honestly, I couldn't name one movie she's been in. I just know she's Dakota Fanning, and I know that she's in movies.
Yeah. I
have no idea how old she is. I know nothing about Dakota Fanning. And by the way, I'm a pedestrian Dakota Fanning fan at best. Like, it's not like but you would never have guessed that if you saw me fucking swooning over her. Like, and by the way, I did like the nerdy, someone told me, hey, just give me a heads up, Dakota Fanning's here. She's a fan. She's going to want to meet you. I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, what did you say? What did you say, Dakota Fanning? So then when she comes up, she's like, hi, great show. I was like, I did one of these. Like, you'll be her. I'll be like, oh, cool.
You're super cool.
Yeah. And then I was like, I'm Bert. What's your name? She's like, Dakota. And I was like, oh, cool. My daughter's sister, best friend's named Dakota. Like, Dakota Fanning. Oh my God, you're Dakota Fanning? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. And then literally lost my mind. And then was like, wait one here. I'll get us a private room.
Oh, it's awesome.
And so I acquire a private room. I tell a bunch of people, Dakota Fanning's here. We're going upstairs. We got whiskey. And she was like, and we come back down. I get everyone. We go up to the room. I go, where's Dakota Fanning? And they're like, you creeped her out. She left.
How old is she?
She's 21. I'm 53. I could definitely be her dad.
You got kids. Do you ever find yourself, I've done this, to where you meet someone that's famous and you tell them some stupid fact about like someone you know, like you meet, I don't know, say you meet somebody and you're like, oh yeah, actually I know Jimmy Thompson. He's friends with he played with your cousin in college. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, okay. And like you just find yourself and be like, man, why now I have no credibility with this guy ever again because I just gave some stupid random thing trying to like connect myself. Like I've caught myself doing that before.
Oh, I do it. I take it one more. I tell them how they connected with me. Like
oh, yes.
like I creep them out. Tom Cruise was. I went to the premiere of Magnolia. Do you remember Magnolia?
Yeah.
Is when he had that long hair and he was like, "You got to tame the pussy."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My God, my buddies and I used to watch that in college night before games. We love it. We love that because no one knows about that movie.
Oh, it's great. And so I go to the premiere. I'm with a bunch of my agent's assistants, like probably 8 of them.
Okay.
And we're all the same age. We're all like 26. And I'm telling a story, and all of a sudden I realize all their eyes are lit up. No one's listening to me. They're looking over my shoulder, and I turn around, and literally as I turn around, I bump in to Tom Cruise, and he's still got the hair, and he looks at me, and he does like one of these,
Bert,
and I look at him,
Bert?
and I just looked at him before he could say a word, and went, "You have beautiful hair," and he went like, and just backed away. Like I've
awesome.
had so many instances where I've got the night I moved to New York, I went partying at like all these clubs down at like the really hard partying. Like this is back when I was young and I was going hard. And we ended up in an after hours club in New York called Mary Lou's. And it's like 4 a.m. They locked the doors. Everyone stayed in. And it was like you had to be famous to be in there. And I got in there because I was friends with the editor of Us Magazine, which it doesn't sound like a big thing, but he was a big literary guy. And so he got us in. We go in. I'm with this chick. I sit down, and this guy like goes, "Hey man, I read about you." And I go, "Oh yeah." And by the way, I just come out of Florida State where I was like legit famous for that Rolling Stone article. So I was used to for people saying that to me at a bar, like, "Hey, I just read about you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "No man, you're the party animal. I gotta buy you a drink." And I was like, and I literally brushed him off. I was like, "I'm just hanging out with friends. I appreciate the offer. I just got a drink. Maybe in a little bit, I'll we'll get a drink." And he was like, "No, I'm buying you a drink now." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "What do you want?" This is back when people did the no carbs diet, Atkins diet.
Yeah.
So I was drinking whiskey and water. Like that was my drink.
Nice.
Crown and water. And so I said, "I'll take a crown of water." And he goes, Crown of water. And he starts yelling down, Harvey, you got to meet this guy. He's a party animal. And I'm like, motherfucker. So then literally I look at the girl I'm with, and her eyes are like this. I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I can't believe David Lee Roth knew who you were." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up." I literally look over. David Lee Roth is right there. It does not look like David Lee Roth. It looks like a lot of older David Lee Roth. But I'm like, "Oh my God." And then I geek out on him so hard that he had to get people from the bar to get me to leave him alone.
No.
This was back when payphones were still around. There was a payphone in Mary Lou's, and I got on the payphone, called my girlfriend. I was like, "I'm partying with David Lee Roth." "Yo, Dave, say hi." And he was like, "Leave me alone."
Oh, so it flipped. The whole dynamic flipped instantly when you found out who he was.
100%. Like the only people I don't have that with, and I don't know why. But like as athletes, I never had that problem with. I don't technically geek out over athletes. I'm trying to think if I ever have.
Because athletes usually aren't that fun to hang out with. That's probably why.
No. I did an episode with Warren Sapp. And,
he's a character.
He was fun, and we just kind of shot the shit. I don't know why. It's never. I think maybe because I played sports, so you feel like there's. You feel like you know those people.
Mm-hmm.
And like despite being the best person on a team growing up, they still had to be part of the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that mentality of like when you're like the best comic, well then you believe you're the best comic, that no one's better than you, and there's no team camaraderie. Like, but like you're the best player on a team, and you just still have to be on the team. You still have to talk to people. You have to get naked in front of people. Like,
Just like any other job. Just like any other job, right? You just take a shower at the end of the day together.
Yeah, it's just like any other job that you would love.
That's something that every once in a while I think about. I'm like, it really is weird to think about that at the end of like when we're done with our workday, like everyone just showers together.
That is creepy.
It really is, and it's just how we kind of grew up. It's what so it's just what happens. No one, you don't think about it. It's just what the deal is, and you're like, it's got to be the only gig I think in America that happens. Maybe the military. I don't know.
I mean,
no, they go home.
Yeah, I guess they shower at home.
So I mean, it's weird. It really is weird. Athlete, like I mean, I understand it, whatever. But
see, that's where I'd love to see your camera. Like
of course,
waterproof, just fucking racking Johnsons.
I already got a waterproof case for my GoPro, so I'm already one step ahead of you.
Hey guys, you cool with me with my GoPro in here?
Just want to get consent from all you guys. Just say yes.
Who's got the biggest dick on the team?
We got into this with Stanhope.
Are you serious?
Well, Stanhope went on like a whole. It was when Michael Sam had just gotten drafted or was about to get drafted. So I mean, I think I told Segura and someone else. I might put it on. I might have my guy put it on Dropbox, and I'll give you like the password, and you can watch the Stanhope episode.
Dude,
I'm telling you, he was like he was so awesome, but he was so Stanhope. It was a great, like, he hit every single group in America you could offend or make them feel like, but it was really good and funny. It was like he was working material, but it was just him. He's
the best. He's so, there's something to him that I don't think anyone gets to see in that. And then maybe they don't deserve to, and maybe they shouldn't, but like him eating dinner with my kids. By the way, I was a fan of Stanhope's before I ever knew Stanhope. So I'm literally sitting at this dinner table, and he's teaching my daughters how to do spit takes. And I'm literally like, this is surreal. Like, one of the best comics ever, a living legend, someone who, when he passes, people will talk about him he will be in that conversation for generations.
Oh, yeah.
That is a, he's teaching my daughters how to do spit takes, and they're teaching him how to play mustard hands. Like he's one of those guys. Please send it to me. I will never share it with anyone. I would love to listen to that.
I'll get it. Yeah, I'm gonna get it set up. Todd, my buddy, runs this all. We've talked about maybe even releasing a few, like, couple different, like, 3 or 4 minute clips of it that wouldn't kill me, wouldn't get me, kicked out of the league right now.
Dude, is there someone at the league? Like, we used to have this at Travel Channel. There's a person. Her name used to be Anna, or her name's Anna, but she left the network. And now there's a person named Bonnery, who is my liaison. Sort of like, if I get in trouble, I get the call from Bonnery, like, hey, listen, can you take that video down?
There's not like a specific person at the league, but each team has specific, like, security guys. Has like a head security guy that would probably call you, or PR people too. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The PR people are the one that I was in Green Bay at the time when right after I recorded the podcast with Stanhope, and I came in the next morning like, pumped. I'm like, oh man, because they knew about my podcast. It was pretty early on. He was like maybe my third or fourth person I had, so like I was real new too, and I didn't know how to handle it. I loved it, but I just let him go. And I was telling him I was explaining this to like the head PR guy in Green Bay. And I was like, oh, it was amazing. I was like, and as I kept talking, I'm like, how do you think they're going to feel upstairs about this?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, you didn't really say much. I'm sure. He's like, but I'm just saying, like, you don't want a headache for no reason. And it's stupid that I haven't released it. It's more of me just being stupid and scared.
Dude, I've got really good ones that I haven't released that I won't even say.
Because of you or because of what they said?
I've had I'll text you. I'll email you after. But I have one of someone. I've had a couple of people destroying people.
And you only because they asked you to, or you just don't want to put it out there?
Because one was someone coming out and just literally destroying a comic, destroying them, and then saying stuff that I was like, not only is this libelous, but like, I don't hate the person, but it is going to ruin it's not going to ruin their career, but it will not make it comfortable. Their career will be under question for the rest of their lives.
Oh, jeez.
And then I was like, let's just do another one. Let's just come back and we'll do another one and not bring that stuff up and they were like, that's fine. And so we did that. And then another one was someone who just gotten fired from a show and just came on and spewed. And then halfway through went, you know what? This sounds horrible. Can you not release what I'm saying right now? And then I was like, of course. Like, that's the one cool thing about, me taping them and editing them myself is like I can kind of pull out stuff, because I've slipped up and said stuff. People said stuff to me and I've just been like, fuck it. This is what I think of that guy. And then I go, I don't want to say that, because it's not how I feel forever. It's just how I feel at that moment in that conversation.
You just got to watch out when you're on Rogan, because he's streaming it live. Don't talk about getting the clap in the pee hole,
dude,
from the doctor.
I've already been off that cliff. Like, I've burned all the bridges there are to burn. I'm like, I've said everything on that podcast that I could ever imagine saying, and then some. And one of the things one of the things that was holding me back for a long time is that working for travel, the same way you working for the NFL, I was biting my tongue a lot. I was saying I didn't want to say certain things because I just didn't want to deal with the headache, and that's all. It's not like they would fire me but they'd just be like, Bert, come on, what are you talking about? And then I wrote a book, and when I wrote the book, I was like, oh, now I'm in fucking trouble. Like I didn't realize I wrote the book, got the book deal, wrote the book. It got ready to go to publishers to be printed, and I was like. And I woke up in a panic, and I was like, "Oh shit! Like this is different than a podcast where I just slip off the tongue and go, hey, fucking Australia, give us $1 million to go down there and shoot something,' That's like, but like this is like me writing in print, like I wrote the N-word, like it's in my book. I wrote it in a character. Some character said it to me, but it's still I wrote it, and I had a panic, and I sent the book to. I mean, I talked about taking a shit on a pizza box to win an election, and so. I sent it to Ross Babbitt, our president at the time, and I was like, hey, man, I sent it to Shannon, our president at the time, and Ross, our SVP, sent them both a copy of the book. I was like, guys, read this cover to cover and let me know that we're cool. And then they wrote it, and they were like, this is awesome. We love it. We think the book's hilarious, and you can talk about any of this. We don't ever want to hinder you as a comic or as an artist. We only want to capitalize on that, so just whatever you do, talk about travel, totally cool. And I was like,
wow, that's cool.
Like, thank God.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's how eventually everything is out there, which everyone's so accessible now. Like it's stupid to hold anything back. That's why people love listening to comedians and people like you, because you're so open. People can connect. It's like John Daly. I had John Daly on here. John Daly. Yeah, he's the people's champ, man. Like that's why people love him.
How did you have John Daly on your podcast?
It's long, weird. Met him down at the Masters at a practice round a couple years ago with my buddies that took me down during a rain delay. We went on his bus. He was amazing telling stories, and I instantly, like, the wheels started turning. That's the thing too I have where I'm like, oh man, John Daly's like my dream guest for my podcast.
Oh, yes.
So I without saying it directly to him in that time we were with him in person. I got his number through that, I think, because he wanted to send me a picture or something. And so then eventually I was like, hey, man, I do this podcast deal. And he didn't really know what podcast was.
Yeah.
I had him episode, man, I'll send you what number it is. It's like 2 or 3. And he called me
I'll find it.
From his phone on his golf course, FaceTiming me. Like, and we talked about I sent an email out, like told him how it was Skype and all this. Hopefully have a good connection, blah, blah. He was great. You like it. You talk about not knowing how to handle something. I mean, he was maybe my second or third one. He had told me he had fallen off the wagon and he wasn't sober anymore. In the middle of it, like I was, you can tell I didn't really know how to handle it. I'm like, well, hey man, you've been sober like 7 years. I heard that's how's that going? Like, that's pretty admirable. How are you doing that? He's like, well, I can't lie, AJ. He's like, I had a drink maybe about 5 days after I saw you down in Augusta, and I was like, oh God. I'm like, oh well, what's your drink of choice or what? And I was like, and he told me like. You'll see it's terrible. He told me how, obviously, at the same time, I didn't want to like kill it and make it the whole all we talked about, but I was like torn. I'm like, oh, this is really I was interested, so I'm sure other people were. And then I'm like, so after I asked him something, like, well, so you didn't just go crazy and have a bunch of, no, I stopped after a few. I was like, well, good. It sounds like you got that under control. So how's golf going? Like,
oh, good.
He talked about a terrible interview.
Oh, it's good. You got those dragons are tamed. All right, Khaleesi. So
you're good.
That's so. I love that you didn't know. He's like, well, I can't lie. Yeah, I fell off the wagon. I had a drink 5 days after I met you, and you're like, did you finish it?
Yeah, like, I'm so bad. I was like, man, I really wish I was equipped to handle this right now.
John, I'm gonna hit pause real quick because
John, let me figure this out. Like, I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to really get some good ratings. This thing's going to blow up now.
What would only be funnier is if you were so new to it, you had almost forgot that the video was on. You're like, motherfucker.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Or I'm doing this. I hold up like a list of, I'm like, so what size shoe do you wear? I'm like, go right to the next question.
What size shoe do you wear?
Okay. You know how terrible people are, like, they don't even hear the interview because they have like these questions they want to get to. So the guy, well, last night actually I killed my wife. I cut her head off and left her in the alley. Oh, so do you enjoy swimming? like something like that.
So, do you ever get mistaken as Carson Daly's brother?
Yeah.
God damn it!
Yeah.
He's a massive get. Like he's someone I'd fly to go get.
He would do it. He would love you, man. You guys would vibe really well too, I think.
Dude, when I watched, he had a show on Golf Channel called Daily Planet. By the way,
Yeah.
John Daly's one of my heroes. Like, I love that guy. I love the way there's certain things I love about, I don't know, it's like tragic figures, guys who can't hold it together. I think maybe I see myself as that sometimes, or maybe I just respect that in the heart of someone who puts himself out in the public, is that it is fucking tough to deal with. And it's like, you share so much. Like, I get social anxiety disorder. Like, I get bothered, like it drop off. I did a show this week at the Ice House and 65 parents from the school came out, and like drop off today, I was freaking out because I didn't have sunglasses, and because I didn't want to make eye contact with anyone, because I didn't know if it looked like I was begging for their approval or like but I get in my head about that stuff. Like the Adam Carolla shit. I'm in my head about stuff. And so when I watched Daily Planet, he was in a helicopter and he was murdering beers. Like, just like, and I identified with it. I was like, I've been where he is right there. I've been there so many fucking times where you're just like, because you're not like, it's very strict when you get in a helicopter. You can't just bring like loose articles with you, so you can't bring like a 12-pack of beer. Like, so a lot of times what you do is you just make a big cocktail in a water bottle, and you bring your water bottle attached to your backpack, and then you just are like I was in New Zealand, and we had to fly like an hour and a half in a helicopter, which is so fucking long, and it was all over water. Ooh. And I was like, and I literally was like, all right, I'm cool. It's going to be fine, but I'm going to get a thing of whiskey just in case it gets bumpy.
Yeah.
So we get out of the thing, and as soon as we go to take off, the guy goes, so everyone buckle up. This flight's going to be pretty rough. You'll be out of your seat for half of it. And I was like, okay, crack. And the guy halfway through, he goes, is someone drinking whiskey in here?
Yeah, you can't, in a small quarters like that, you can't hide that.
You can't just drink a fucking eighth of whiskey. And I was like, I am. And he was like, okay, just wondering, because I really smell it. And I was like, yeah, I'm drinking whiskey. He's like, all right, that's fine. But like the half of the flight, it was like turbulence in a helicopter. When you fall, you drop like 10 feet, and you're like, whoa.
Oh, I'd be so sick, man. I don't get scared of flying at all. I get sick, like, with all that turbulence. I get just sweaty and nauseous and just terrible. That's my nightmare right there for sure.
Oh, I was really cool in helicopters for a long time, and then I had a flight. I was flying to a castle in Paris, and we left Paris when we were going out to the outskirts of Paris to stay at a castle. And the guy said something that Bill Burr said to me the other day. He goes, it's not the helicopter's safe, it's the fatigue of the metal. And he goes, you never know, man. One piece goes and the whole thing just falls apart. And I go, Jeez. And by the way, he's saying this to me over Paris. And I'm like, why? Why would you? What the fuck's wrong with you? Do you not know how to fly with someone? Is this your first flight with people where you're like, oh yeah, it's the fatigue of the metal. We'll all die. Nothing I can do about that. I'm like, oh God.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I can see how that'd be a little bit scary. Now, for people that aren't, I would imagine we would have the audiences that listen to our respective podcasts, and since I ripped your name off as well. Maybe we have some crossover because of that. I would imagine they're a little different audiences. But you mentioned your Rolling Stone article quickly, because I'm going to wrap it up. I kept you long for sure. I know you got a spot tonight. But you mentioned that Rolling Stone article. For people that don't know, can you give us like the 30-second overview of that being named what the biggest partier in America or whatever?
I told this to a Tanzanian chief one time. A Maasai chief.
Yeah, sounds about right for your.
We pulled up to his village in a helicopter. Me and my crew, right? Land, literally, whole village comes out, red robes, spears. It's a village, like literally comes out to greet us. They're amazed. I come off the helicopter with film crew following me, walk up, introduce myself, and literally he like says to me, he's like, "Are you famous?" And I was like, "Yeah." He doesn't have TV. What does he know? I was like, "Very." And he's like, "How did you become famous?" And I told him this, but this is my spiel that I've always said since I got into business was. In 1997, Rolling Stone magazine discovered me and wrote a 6.5-page article about me, calling me the #1 party animal in the country. Literally changed my life. To the point where I started doing radio interviews every morning for the next month. People would call my house. I became famous. This is before reality television, technically. So like there was no scope for this kind of scrutiny of like the school wanted to disown me. Oprah wanted to have me on her show. The ESPN sent down two young actors to shoot a series of commercials, one of which was Johnny Knoxville. I mean, this is like just the craziest life experience you could ever imagine. And it was like what going viral would be like, because everyone knew who I was. Wow. I decided to do stand-up. Someone put together a stand-up show. They put like 4 headlining comedians and then me going last at a place called Potbelly's. I did stand-up, did really well. They offered me my own morning show. So I moved. Oliver Stone optioned the rights to my life. Like, it was just insanity. I moved to New York, started doing stand-up, and within 6 months, Will Smith discovered me and signed me to a deal. And so I moved to L.A. to make a sitcom with them. In the process, and this is the part I always feel, I don't like sharing it totally, but I don't really care. I mean, it's part of your history, but I don't like it to be the whole thing about my history. But apparently, and I say apparently because my verification of this is loose. Not totally loose because I've met the producers, but apparently one of the guys who wrote a script for Oliver Stone, when the option fell apart and the movie went away, he had written a script. It's his own intellectual property. He turned around, sold it to National Lampoon, and that became the movie Van Wilder. And so, and I only say that because I had a meeting with the people who produced Van Wilder probably 7 months ago, and they had my book in front of them. And National Lampoon had told me about it. Literally, National Lampoon offered me my own morning show called Partying with the Original Van Wilder. And you're always skeptical. You never know what the truth is. You're always kind of like, you tell it, but in the back of your head, you're like waiting for someone to call bullshit. But I met the producers and they had my book and they're like, we want to do a sitcom with you. And I was like, cool. And they're like, do you know who we are? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, we produced a movie called Van Wilder. And I went, and in my head, I was like, is this where I get busted? Is this where they go, you're a liar, we're suing you? And then they're like, and so obviously we're fans of your work and we want to do a sitcom. And I was like, holy shit. I walked, and that's good Barry Katz advice, is when Van Wilder came out, Barry Katz said, everyone wanted to sue. And Barry Katz said, Papa, there's 2 types of people in this business. There's people who sue and there's people who work. Pick which one you want to be. And I was like, done. And had I sued, I would definitely not be talking to you today. I would never have worked in this business. I'd be some sad comic with the story of, they stole the fucking Van Wilder. But instead, I just put my nose to the grindstone and I worked and I kept doing stand-up and kept doing TV and never said anything and just kept it. And then cut to 6 months ago. Now, granted, the deal fell through, but the opportunity for them to come to me and say, hey, we want to do a TV show about you, literally kind of was like, you know what? It's one of the best advice Barry Katz ever gave me. But so then that was my life story. And then I got into TV. I started doing I cornered the market and kind of like scared, fearless hosting of like Hurt Bert, where I took dangerous men jobs. Oh, I got to get you. I just came out with a new shirt. I have a story about fighting a bear. I'm sure. Have you heard it?
Yeah, I have the machine shirt too. By the way, I got a couple years ago.
Let me send you, I'm going to email you after this. I'm going to CC my wife on it. We just came out with a new shirt. So for those of you who don't know, I fought a bear one time for my show Hurt Bert. And he basically sexually assaulted me. And
this is before The Revenant too. I hear The Revenant.
Yeah, this is before The Revenant. Yeah. And I came out with a shirt. It's badass. I wish I had it to show you, but it's a bear's head, but it's written by the word marshmallow. So it's badass.
Okay.
I'll send you a few. I'll send you an email.
I'll definitely wear it, man. Yeah, I bought a machine shirt a couple years ago.
Oh, well, if anyone else would like to buy, for those of you who don't know, I'll tell you very quickly. When I was 22, I got involved with the Russian Mafia and we robbed a train. And I will say that one thing, because I'm sure at some point someone will tell Jay Moore that we brought his name up. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking shit about Jay at all, but I will say that Jay was a big impetus. And like when I first told that story, he's like, that's a pretty amazing story. He had me tell it to this guy, Tony Baldino. And if it wasn't for Joe Rogan, I don't think I'd ever tell that story on stage. Those guys, there's a lot of good things that happen out of being around great comics.
I think when I didn't realize when you told the machine story, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm not going to make you go through it, but yeah, you got involved with the Russian mob and robbed a train. Yeah, just like normal. Sounds about right for all the things that you do in your life. But it's an awesome story. But you told it. I think I was listening. the first time you actually told the full thing on Joe Rogan's podcast, I remember listening. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. And Joe was like, he's like, you need to tell it on stage, man. You need to find a way. And that was kind of like the jumping off point. Didn't that just? I mean, you already were big, but you even blew up even more after that, right?
That changed my career. That appearance changed my career because I came on the show after when he said that, he goes, you have to tell that on stage. And I was like, no, man, it's not a stage story. And that's the way I kind of compartmentalized a lot of my material, is like, this is just to be shared with comics. This is like, I wouldn't take that on stage. Like that was the way I looked at a lot of things, including the Tracy Morgan story. I didn't, and still to this day, I don't tell that on stage, but I don't tell it on stage because I never felt that story should be told on stage. I always kind of thought that I didn't do anything funny in it. Tracy's the one that's funny in it. It doesn't make any sense for me to say something that someone did that's also, little, it sounds like I'm making Tracy into a lunatic. So I didn't want to take that on the road. And I also thought, this is my biggest feeling about that story, is that I go, Tracy's not going to remember it. There's no way he's going to remember partying with one kid one night, freaking 19 years ago. There's no way he'll remember it. And it's a great story. So if I tell it on radio and everyone loves it and I'm an unknown comic and someone says, Tracy, have you heard this? There's no way he's going to go, oh, maybe that did happen. He's going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. That guy's a liar. And I also knew I had this machine story that was better than that one, that I was like, if I get called a liar for that, no one's going to believe anything I ever say.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the main reasons I never wanted to tell that the Tracy Morgan story. But I told that machine story to Joe, and Joe said to me, no, you will be telling that. And he was like, I think he did like a call to action. If you go see him live, you shout out the machine until he tells that story, and you force him to tell it. And I am forever grateful to Joe in that sense, because I would have never done that. I would have never done that, and I would have let it sit by the wayside and be a story that I never told, that would be just like something I'd tell drunk at a comedy club every now and then to friends. And that story not only changed my career, but it changed the way I looked at stand-up, and it changed the way I looked at work. I looked at I was like, okay, so I've got a couple good stories. I need to work these stories and get them to a place where they work on stage. Dude, it took like a solid year and a half to get that machine story to where it is now, where it's like a 10-minute story of just ba 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 da-dung, da-dung, big ending, ta-da, dick out.
Shirt off the whole time though, right?
Shirt off the whole time. I haven't done a show. That's my big problem, is I'm doing a Showtime special in April, and I was like, hey guys, I haven't done stand up with a shirt on in like 4 years, and they're like, well, guess no shirt.
What about corporate gigs?
I take it off there too.
Really?
Yeah. It's tactile for me. It's like once I take my shirt off, I don't have to worry about sweat getting on my shirt.
It's tactile.
And it's like I feel like I don't look fat. I look perfect in my head.
You do. You look great. Thank you. I've seen a lot. I haven't seen you live. I've just seen a lot of your clips.
So we got a party for Calling Sick to Work show.
I haven't been to the Columbus Funny Bone. You ever play Wiley's in Dayton? You ever heard of that?
No, I have heard of it. I do the Dayton Funny Bone. Are you closer to Dayton?
I grew up in and around Dayton in Centerville, so I grew up going to Wiley's actually a bunch.
Really?
Yeah, I told Segura, my friend's dad owned it, so we would go when we were really young. See,
really?
Chappelle would stop in, and so I saw Stanhope for the first time, long time ago. Who was big for us when I was young? We would go when we were like 12 years old. Was the dude from Police Academy that would make all the noises?
Michael Winslow.
Yeah, is he still doing stand up?
Come on in, Isla. Yeah, he's still doing stand up. He actually, I just saw him in something the other day. He was really good in it. It was like I want to say it was like a Super Bowl commercial or something. I forget what it was.
He was good.
You want to come in? Do you have any questions?
No.
He plays professional football? Yeah, no. I mean, you wouldn't know that, but that's what he does.
Yeah, I tell her. I've seen you on Bert. Bert puts you on. Your dad puts you on his vlogs, Isla. See both of you.
Yeah.
You and what's your other daughter's name?
Georgia,
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are true Southern. Your wife, you guys are true Southern family.
Oh, my wife's a redneck. Her parents met on ancestrymingle.com. All right, give me 5 minutes, baby. I'll be out in 2 seconds, okay?
Oh, yeah, we're done. I'm wrapping up. You ever notice when you're talking to somebody and you say, like, we all have things we say, if you listen back on your own podcast, you're like, oh, my God, I'm saying, like, or whatever. I know I've said I've asked you maybe 10 different questions, and I've caught myself saying, right? Like, so, Bert, you're the machine, right? And then you go talk about this, and you jump around, and you take your shirt off. right? Like I'm answering my question for you. So
No.
I recognize that for anyone that hears it.
I do. When I listen to my podcast, I think I do something like I go like this.
Do you?
Like I do that. Like I like. Oh, I do that nonstop. And then Segura, one time, Segura and I were driving somewhere, and he goes, "You realize you burp like 50 times an hour?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "No, you burp non-fucking stop." And I was like, "No, it's impossible." And then literally, as I said that, I was like, "Oh, I feel a burp coming on." But I started realizing, oh, I burp nonstop. I never realized that.
You got to watch yourself. You got to listen to it sucks. It does suck, man. Listening and watching yourself.
Dude, I do the vlog, and I realize that I always say, all right. I start every sentence off with all right, so I just edit out all right all the time. It's like, all right, all right.
You're an artist, though. Your last one or whatever, one of your vlogs, you have your camera laying on the ground, and then you pop up. You like have it fast forward. What a cool way to start a vlog! And you hold out that one.
That's the coolest part about a vlog, and I'm telling you, you should do one just to figure out, to screw around with the camera and get a little weird is kind of fun, and I think it shows a different side of your I don't know. I like messing around with it. The ones the one I'm editing now is just very uninspiring. Like it's really cool. I have Cole Cabana and Pete Holmes on it, but like for the most part, it's like I feel like I'm just doing the same shit I always do. I walk out of my man cave with the camera. I'm like, "Hey guys, good morning. What day is it?" Da 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 da. And I'm like, I need to change my game up. So right now I've just changed everything so that my vlogs will come out on Monday and my podcast comes out on Wednesday.
Ooh, beautiful, man. Yeah, you know what? You've kind of inspired me. I think I'm going to have to at least try it out. I'm going to get to try those dinkum situations you've been holding up. I like those mounts you have. But I'm going to use my GoPro and I will actually film some stuff. And yeah, I'll just send it. You know what's cool is like through there's Fiverr. There's all these like apps where I could send it to and they can like pay $15 and they'll edit it for you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's an app called Fiverr, Fiverr, that like, everything's $5 and then you can add on. Obviously, the more you get, it costs more. But all these people from all over the world will like bid to do your project for them. So like if you wanted them to do anything, accounting, whatever, there's all these titles or topics, and people will bid to do your project.
Shut up!
You should try it, man. Like
I'm writing down the stuff I gotta email you about right now because I'm like because I'm telling you, man. I think you could be one of the people that really changes the game because Segura and I are showing like not super interesting shit, but like just some interesting stuff. I think a view into your life would be really eye-opening or fascinating for the vast majority of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to at least film some stuff and see how it goes, and I'll watch it myself and then figure out if I'm going to release it or not.
The real key is getting into editing. When you start editing them yourself and you're like, ooh, I'm learning. Like Segura would call me at like midnight and be like, hey, how do you get the video to go backwards? I'm like, okay, click on that little watch right there. And he goes, okay. I go, you see that button that says reverse? He goes, yeah. I go, click that. And he's like, yeah, but how? I go, splice it. I feel like the biggest key to editing is I think I can touch a button and nothing will happen. But like the key is playing a music to it and then holding down command and then hitting B is the edit, like it'll splice it. And so just doing it to the beat and just hitting the whole song for the beat.
Wow.
And then just taking those clips and moving them around like this. And it just creates the coolest montage with no effort.
How do you get around the music, the licensing music? Because you play good music.
I don't.
They don't, and they're not going to come out. It's going to be it's a good problem to have because once it's big enough and they come after you, who cares? It's big enough. You're making over $60,000 a month. It's
at that point. It's like if I just want people to see it now, and I want it to look good and look cool, and I don't have the ability to find licensable music. Like I like good music. Like I want to listen to cool music when I do the vlog, and it inspires me to edit it, and it kind of gives me like a roadmap of how to edit it. So right now, that's not my big concern. And if YouTube took them all down, I'd be like, fine, whatever. I still have them all on my hard drive. I'd just post them again.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. I'm gonna let you roll. Where can people find you? I know Bert.com is your website, but give us your other stuff.
If you go to there, you'll find everything. You'll find my YouTube channel up top. You'll find my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. My podcast is Bertcast. You can go there, but check out everyone check out the new marshmallow bear shirt, and I'll send you one.
All right,
I'll send you a couple.
I'd love to work, man.
And then I'm on tour.
You're everywhere. March 17th. I'm going to try to get to your calling sick to work. So you're going on stage at like what, 11?
Yeah, like 11, maybe noon. Why don't you come in and do radio with me?
I'm going to see what you
Look,
find. Yeah.
Let's take this to the next level.
You got to email me what I can't hang with you. First off, with
yes, you can.
Your savagery.
We'll drink light beers. We'll drink light beers. We'll probably roll in at like 8:00. Roll in, have a couple beers. It'll get loose. It'll get loose. Yes. It'll be fun, and then we'll roll over to the club, and it'll be packed, and then it'll be a blast. Come on, let's ink this deal.
Let's ink it. Well, we'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let you know, Bert. I'll talk to my people. Are
you getting close to having to work out and stuff?
I mean, no. I work out all the time anyway. I don't really ever take any time off, so I'm always working out. I would just get a good pump in before I came in for your show. That's all I would do.
You too. Okay, then that's the deal.
That's the deal. You know what? We vlog me and you in the hotel weight room, or you just come over to the basement. We swing some kettlebells around, some on it primal bells.
Let's do it.
Hit the VersaClimber, get you on the treadmill.
Let's do it.
And then we wrestle for 30 minutes. We grapple for 30 minutes.
Oh, cool.
We'll have my 5-year-old daughter she'll be the referee, and then we'll go to the show.
All right, done.
Sounds like a good vlog number 23 for Bert.
We go in. I meet you at your house. We have some caveman coffee at 6 a.m.
Yes, yes, I love it.
Let's swing some kettlebells. Head over to the station. Do some radio. Do a show.
Let's ink this deal, Bert.
I like this.
I like you. I like where your head's at. This is good.
Hey, I am, if nothing, and this is why I love John Daly so much, I believe I have that Mickey Mantle gene where I can stay up all night and still go hard in the paint at the gym. Like I said to everyone, there was a period, I'm not there right now because I've just had this big weight loss thing, but like there was a period where no matter what, I could be out until 4 a.m, but at 7 a.m., I could get up and run a 7-minute mile, no questions asked, even at like 230 pounds.
You're a true throwback, man. You really are.
Dude, I'm a throwback. I definitely am.
Yeah, trust me. I'm old in the NFL. I know that. But you're like a legit throwback. You're like the dudes that were smoking cigs at halftime.
That's why I liked Lenny Dykstra and John Kruk.
Oh, God, you have to.
John Kruk would smoke a cigarette, and you'd be like, oh, that's who I'd be if I was in Major League.
That's me. Yeah, that's good, man. Well, I tell you what, Bert, we're definitely going to have you back on here. I've had Segura on twice now. I think he's my only repeat guest. So yeah, I'd love to have you back on eventually.
I could talk to you for hours.
I got a billion questions that I'm going to ask you, and we went 2 hours too. So this is good, man. I really appreciate it, and we'll we'll link everything up for you when we post this, and you're probably going to have to bump you to the front of the queue as well, like we talked about earlier.
Hey, and yeah, like I said, man, if you ever want to if you're ever like. You're like, oh, I don't have a guest this week. You can always call me up. I'd be on your podcast in a heartbeat. I really enjoyed talking to you.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, there's a million things we could talk about. So yeah, Bert, we'll look for you. I'll listen to the Bertcast. I stole your name. This is the HawkCast. And like you say, people need to rate it and review it and subscribe. You're right. People need to leave reviews. I don't ever say that. That's another thing I'm terrible at. I don't ever tell people to do that, but they need to, please do.
Oh, I'll say it for you. If you're listening to this right now, if you take 2 seconds out of your day and literally just go to your iTunes, click 5 stars, and write a review, it means so much because what it does is it puts this podcast up the list. So when people are looking to find new podcasts, they go, oh, what's the Hawk? Oh, shut up. I didn't know he had a podcast. Oh, that's so cool. And then they click on it, and then they become subscribers. And then they subscribe, rate, and review. And do that for both our podcasts. I have Pete Holmes on this week, I think. And it's like a 3-hour podcast. Like, it's a monster. But rate, review, and subscribe. It means the world.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Bert, and we will talk to you again soon.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much.
All right. See you.
We're glad you could join us for today's conversation. After you subscribe to the show, head over to thehawkcast.com or reach out to AJ directly on Twitter at @officialAJHawk to recommend future guests that will help us inspire people to keep talking. Thanks again, and we look forward to speaking with you next time on the HawkCast.